the endorsements you get as a Dallas Cowboy, yeah, I understand that point of view. I ain't trying to get at Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer made over $172 million in his career. Carson Palmer signed for a $42 million deal with the Cincinnati Bengals years ago. I think that was like 2003. You got to remember, everything's relative back then. That was dollars. Big money. Equivalent to, to today's numbers for top-notch players. As late as 2013, he had a deal to make about $13 million a year. Remember, it was only recent that these exorbitant amount of dollars coming in the quarterback's direction. That was the case. When Carson Palmer was getting paid international football league, I didn't even talk about him the way
maybe he regrets it though.
I want to hear about the regrets now. I got regrets after I got paid. Sit down. I ain't trying to hear that from him. All I'm saying is this. When you look at what the Dallas Cowboys have done lately, Collins, has been taken care of. So when I think about that, understand something. We always hear about how important the quarterback position is. When you think about the quarterback in the franchise, you're not just looking for them to throw the football. You're looking for them to know the offense, know everybody else's job. You're also looking for them to be point potential leaders because as you go, they go. And so the level of responsibility that is placed on any quarterback is enormous. When you combine that with it being the Cowboys brand and you being the successor to Tony Romo, the virtual adopted son of Jerry Jones. And you never did a thing except the right thing. Exactly, and the man's never done anything but the right thing. He hasn't missed a start. He started all 49 games. He was eligible to start in his NFL career. He's a two-time Pro Bowler, two-time division champion. He's already accomplished more in his young career than Tony Romo did in 8 years for you as the quarterback. And I recall Tony Romo, I paid an exorbitant amount of dollars. There is no excuse. Nobody should be asking Dak Prescott to take less.
I 100% agree with you, Stephen A. And there are going to be arguments made that you can make more money outside of football when you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But nobody's telling Aaron Rodgers, I know you see differently than Dak Prescott. He's a two-time MVP, but you see him on every commercial during every football game we watch on Sunday. Nobody's saying you should take less money because now he makes so much off the field. There's also not any credence to what Carson Palmer says because he took those deals. And even if you look at your career and say, you know what, I didn't win when I was making that kind of money. I didn't win when I was one of the highest paid in the league. You can't now ask Dak Prescott to take a home team discount or a home time discount for a team that has to manage the salary cap the way they need to in order to build a team on this field that is competitive in the NFC. You didn't ask La'el Collins to take that deal. You didn't ask James Smith to take that deal. You didn't ask Ezekiel Elliott to come from Cabo and take a deal.
And damn, I know I ain't got no rebounder, but shit.
I don't believe that Dak Prescott should take a deal. Now, in the offseason, when I was here,
Who? They did?
talking about the
You said they did or almost?
I'm in the drug deal. I'll be there with the book, so I'm in the drug deal, bro. Guess who? Oh, but who? Oh yeah, the Clippers. You know they had 2 losses when I came. The Clippers beat them, and I got to see who the other team was. But the Clippers beat them. And we beat this shit out of the Clippers, boy. But yeah, I drug their ass with the Bucks. He the one who Lillard don't care shooting.
McCullough was decent. So that shocked me that they almost beat my ass.
And two of the Cowboys back. My prediction based on what I've seen, he said they weren't going to die. So they swore they weren't going to do it with C. And he's 2 years out, and he's just a running back, and they reset the market 2 years out after saying they would. I expect them to reset the market down. I think this is something else. The same. Smart. And this is the way I do it. This is the way I think. It's smart. Because Dak is not a dude who's going to elevate a whole team and win a Super Bowl. Dak's a guy you put him on a good team. That's the right quarterback. Now, if he's smart, he will be the Tom Brady and not the Russell Wilson. Well, let me get two great Super Bowl quarterbacks on great teams. One of them always restructuring his deal, working with the team, winning multiple Super Bowls. The other one who gets paid a lot, not in quite the same situation. What's your reason why
All right.
not as strong? The license.
Hit that 9-4 for me.
You gonna try to. I know 91 guaranteed today. I ain't gotta leave either. Tier 3. My only problem today is making sure somebody here when I gotta go pick up candy. You feel me? I ain't tripping truck. I got 4, 5 hours, so somebody gonna be here. Yeah, I just get Caprice to be here. Shit.
A game's gonna come on.
All right.
USA playing somebody.
Shit, no problem. All right.
When you're the leader, when you're all of these different things, sometimes it gives people in positions of power a license to take you advantage and deny you the appreciation you deserve. You make a very good point. Like, get the money and then restructure later, right? Like, the reason I bring up Russell Wilson and Tom Brady is they were both an excellent organization, excellent coaches, excellent teams, the whole thing. And they both reminded me of that. They're game managers, big on third down, good under pressure in the playoffs. He reminds me of a version of Russell Wilson or Tom Brady. They took different approaches. Russell Wilson's like, pay me, and they couldn't afford to pay other guys, and the team kind of has stalled a little bit in recent years. And Tom Brady's like, I'll work with you. So I think Tom Brady is the model for that.
Russell Wilson's learned deals before this one didn't set the market. He didn't put himself in a position to be the highest paid because at the time he wasn't seen that way because of the way the Seattle Seahawks played football. Now this contract is a little bit different. I do believe that Tom Brady understood what Bill Belichick was. He understood what the New England Patriots organization was.
Also married to someone that's a
But that was later though. He wasn't taking deals that were setting the market. He also wasn't seen as a Peyton Manning at the time. Dak is in a different situation, but he's in a different situation to where every guy when he gets his turn is the next guy. And so in seeing how the way that works, the way that the Cowboys have gone about setting their contract structure, it's time for Dak to get paid. He's going to get paid a lot of money and will be the highest.
I don't think that's what Carson's point was, but I think
Carson saying take the discount, but look at this as well. There was a lot of success for Tom Brady's team when he was on a small deal. A lot of success for Russell Wilson's team. This team hasn't been as successful. So what's to say they'll do the right
winning
thing?
double digits.
We know he hasn't missed a game. He's been a model citizen. He deserves to be a franchise quarterback. Now it's just a matter of, yes, he deserves his money, but did he take a little bit off if they're trying to pay some other people?
Every week that you deny him what he has earned, he's going out there and jeopardizing himself. Remember, Zeke didn't want to come. Because Zeke was like, listen, I got to get on the field. You beat my body down. I got to get paid now. But this dude is going to drop back in the pocket, throwing passes in regular season football games against everybody's A1.
And let's not forget, Zeke got taken care of with all that drama and nonsense. This guy really has been...
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Zeke
Yeah.
held out and got his money. Dak didn't hold out. He's not, right.
How about them Cowboys? Big D comes of huge in week 1, but are they already a top 5 team in the NFL? Stevens, oh boy, buckle up. That's next. Ryan and Max will play judge. You mind telling us why?
Mr. In Between premieres tonight at 10 on FX.
Watching First Take, presented by the United States Marine Corps.
The NFL season is right around the corner. Football is finally back on Sunday. Who has the better
takeover. Turn up the teams.
Because you got Tom Brady. Why? Because of James White, Tony
Why
Michelle,
would you
because
stop?
of Julian Edelman and the crew. Oh, by the way, I was going to sit up there and say Antonio Brown, but you don't know whether or not he's going to be available for them. Still in all, what they did to my Pittsburgh Steelers, I got to give it to that. I was going to say, Patriots Chiefs, I got no argument, except for the AB stuff. If someone wanted to flip-flop them, like I saw in the AFC Championship game last year, it's not for a pre-snap penalty. The Chiefs beat them. It's like that. Those two wanted to. However, Eagles, Cowboys, same logic. You have the Cowboys there for Baltimore. Yeah. Baltimore whooped up on a bad team, but Lamar Jackson, who do I always quote the analytics, Stephen A? Yeah. Lamar Jackson, the greatest, he claims, and he backs it up, the greatest age 21 passer in the history of the NFL. Passer! Lamar Jackson! Compare apples to apples. Compare the people his own age. Newsflash, there's a debate as to whether or not the Miami Dolphins are an NFL team. But hold on. I mean, that's our issue right now. We don't even know.
Excuse me, I'm so disappointed.
The Dolphins are better than the
This is a week-to-week list. We've listened to this guy and everyone all summer be so hyped up about the Browns.
I was about to bring it up.
Go on the road and smash them.
Don't the Titans?
You don't
Nothing to one of them.
give the Titans any love in your week-to-week list.
I got one more for you. Go ahead, I think if the Saints are on the list, I understand some people might have them higher than 5. Texans lost on the road by the skin of their teeth on a 58-yard field goal. I know they're 0-1, but the Texans, to me, have an argument for a top 5 team. Right? Yeah, but they lost. So that's
Right now, the Texans are a top 10 team because of what we think about the Saints and the fact that they had that team beat with 37 seconds left, and the guy that cost them that game is sitting at home today. They released him because he didn't do what he needed to do to stop that last drive. I like the Cowboys there. The Cowboys are 5 to me just because coming into the season, I didn't have them ranked as high as the Saints, and they beat
Come on, man.
that right now defensively just isn't competent.
What
It's
kind
a
of
team
shit is this
that they don't
shit
play
got
right
going on?
technique-wise. They are physical, and the hustle to me seems to lack as the game went on. The Eagles are there not because I felt like their game was so great against Washington. It's what I saw in the second half. Just it starts off steady. Yeah, the quarterback hasn't played. He was injured, and he starts to get it going, and they seem unstoppable. And obviously, the top 2, Stephen, I can't argue with you at all. Those 2 offenses and what
My list is pretty big.
it's only one.
What about the Rams? They went on the road.
I'm a huge Rams fan. Obviously, what scares me about them is when the most important player on your team is the backup running back, right? We saw with C.J. Anderson, now you see with Brown early on in this season. Todd Gurley can still do things when he gets the rock. He went for 98 on 13, 14 carries. But he needs to be a 20 carry, 25 touch guy. And if he can't, this team can't be what they were
I'm certain about the LA Rams because of Gurley's health, and that brings into question Jared Goff. Because Jared Goff is seeking to lose his contract to sign, and the way that he will bring that football should be big time enough to offset the compromise Todd Gurley, and none of us are sure he can do that. Early on, when I see a team like the reason I have the Texans, arguably, I agree, top 10, probably not top 5, over the Panthers, let's say, is Texans went on the road to barely lose by the skin of their teeth with a lot of unfortunate things happening, including a 58-yard field goal against them to barely lose. The Panthers lost by a field goal to the Rams, but
I have a question on that for you. This is off the subject. You and I had this debate about Deshaun Watson, and I said I thought he was a top 10 quarterback. You don't put yourself in the prime time. Do you believe this guy belongs in that conversation?
I do. I think that, in fact, we argued the other day, I think by the end of this year, come these upcoming playoffs, if you just isolate a quarterback play, you may even prefer him.
And I think that's what the Texans do.
I agree.
Yeah,
Watson's special. I agree.
compare them, don't show man.
What should the Patriots now do with Antonio Brown after being accused of sexual assault? Second hour first take after a quick break.
First Take. More reaction to the latest in the Antonio Brown news. What should the Patriots do with AB? Why I have no problem with what KD said about his former team for the league. And I'll tell you why Odell wearing 6 figures on his wrist during a game, again, is actually a big deal. First Take right now.
Welcome back to First Take. In case you're just joining us, Antonio Brown has been accused of sexual assault by his former trainer, Brittany Taylor. Taylor accused Brown of 3 incidents of sexual assault in 2017 and 2018, including an alleged rape, according to the civil suit filed in the Southern District of Florida. Brown's attorney said the wide receiver denies all allegations and said the two had a consensual personal relationship. The Patriots said they take those allegations very seriously. Under no circumstances does this organization condone sexual violence or assault. The NFL will be investigating the matter, according to the Patriots. Brown is expected to practice today with the Pack. On that note, we now welcome in Dominique Foxworth. Ryan Clark still here with us, and I want to mention you were president of the NFLPA, and you were obviously on the executive board. So thrilled to have your take on all of this, guys. And Stephen A., I want to start with you. What do you think New England should do with Brown now?
I think they should wait to see what the commissioner decides, because if you're an individual team, then obviously you're innocent until proven guilty, and that's the approach that you have to take. It's the league which has the tool of the commissioner's exempt list to utilize to decide, regardless of your guilt or innocence, this is how the league has been affected by these allegations, and because of that, we're going to keep you out of the league. As an individual team, your obligation is to your team, and you want to exercise guilt before until proven guilty, and I think that's the safe way for the Patriots to go.
So if the Patriots set him, that would let everybody off the hook. But I think they won't, because that is not the Patriots way.
The Patriots did what?
If they set him out, yeah, if they put him on the bench, that would let everybody off the hook, but I doubt that's what they do. And I think from the union perspective, what you brought up, Ryan and I both were very involved. The union's responsibility is not necessarily to protect Antonio Brown in this case, but it's to protect the precedent. So they need to make sure that the process is followed. So while it's very uncomfortable for DeMar Smith and many of the players who lead the union in situations like this, when someone has allegations this serious, but they have to protect him in this situation, not because it's Antonio Brown, but because the next guy who's going to get accused of something, no matter what he's accused of, you need to uphold innocent until proven guilty as much as you possibly can, because that's something that we frankly have struggled with in the history of the relationship with the league and the players. And Ryan knows this quite well, because when we were going through CBA negotiations, there was one team that was steadfast about not signing the CBA agreement, and it was because of commissioner discipline, and that team was Ryan Clark's team, the Steelers. Yeah, and so the hard thing here is when we look at it from the outside, anything dealing with sexual assault, with rape, you think to yourself, we want to act very fast, because we want the NFL to be the moral high ground that shows people that these things can't go on. But the NFLPA has to make sure that that's not the way it happens, that the process is fair, that the process is handled in a way to where they get all the facts before they make decisions. And so in that, we can't ask the New England Patriots to do that either. You can't say to the New England Patriots, we want you to set a precedent by sitting Antonio Brown until all the facts are clear, because that's just not how it works. And so when you look at Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, who has said in a statement, you heard Mike Reese this morning, that there is no gray area when it comes to acts of domestic violence, when it comes to acts of sexual assault, he doesn't have all the facts.
He's told me that personally. That's the one thing he doesn't move on. He'll tolerate anything but that.
Right, exactly. So, but he doesn't have all the facts. So if you do sit Antonio Brown, you are almost giving him a guilty verdict. You are almost saying, you know what, you're guilty until proven innocent, and that's just not the way this process works, or the way the NFLPA will allow it to work.
When this subject first came up and I first learned about it, I thought I was going to say this exact thing. And I am always in these cases saying, everyone is going to rush to judgment. Let's wait for the facts to come out. The facts, as I understand them so far, are as follows. Did not warn the Patriots that this was an ongoing situation when he joined the team. That would be, if I were the Patriots, strike one and maybe two, maybe three. But when I read, and I understand, we're not a
it's impossible. Even if you try to contextualize it in a relationship where that was an ongoing understanding, that's a long way to go. It looks really bad. And I'm not saying this is the proper way to proceed, because there is a presumption of innocence, even if that standard is lower in a civil suit. But were I running the Patriots, just beat the Steelers by 1,000,000 points week 1 without Antonio Brown, just won a Super Bowl, and I'm not even saying, well, you would bend your ethics in order to, I'm being realistic. Were I the Patriots, I probably would move on from Antonio Brown right now. Let me come to Dominique and Ryan with this question. I get it, because I feel where everybody's coming from. But I must ask you, in light of the precedent that has been established by the commissioner in the league office as it pertains to the commissioner's exemptions, people that have been put on all of right? All of hopefully indicted, stuff like that. Right. And that's not the case here. Because of that precedent, do y'all see any way where the commissioner can actually avoid putting him on a commissioner? I have some good opinions on this, so I'll let you go first.
No, I mean, I think it goes back to the exemption is they try to present it as if it is not a punishment. But it is a punishment. The fact that you still get paid is one thing. So this is still putting out a guilty verdict before it's proven. So commissioner exemption is doesn't mean that there's not a fight. What's the concept of the exemption? The concept of the exemption is protecting in terms of the league. That's the purpose. Wouldn't this be a fall thing? No, if I were the commissioner, it's something that I may consider. But I'm just saying that from a union standpoint, and everything changes with personnel. We can go back to Adam Pac-Man Jones. That was an important, pivotal moment for the players because the players were very upset with all the trouble he was getting because they believed that it reflected poorly on us. And that was the first time where the players stepped up.
But I don't want to run away from the subject. Right. What I'm asking y'all is, as guys that obviously were union members and officers within the union, I'm saying based on what real right now.
Yo, what's good? Make sure y'all talk to your boy. Don't sneak up in here. Stay sneak.
Doing something like this. Max, the things you brought up and mentioned, I agree with those things. And I also agree from my standpoint, if I was the New England Patriots, I would want to distance myself from this. I also know that I don't need it. Right? But we don't get to make these decisions. And if you're the commissioner, I know Dominique mentioned that if the New England Patriots stepped up and sat him, it would help a lot of people. From the commissioner's standpoint, if he can use the commissioner's exemplars to be done with this for the time being, it definitely helps. And I know these are conversations that are being had. There's also going to be some pushback in some way. The NFLPA has to represent Antonio Brown in that as well. I understand that, but if I were the commissioner, I would want to do that. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why I brought up Adam Pac-Man was because we as the players looked at that particular person and we allowed the fact that it was that person who had that history to change the way that we treated it, and we encouraged the commissioner to take disciplinary action before conviction was held. And that was a precedent that they needed to set forth all the actions going forward where they took these steps forward. I bring this up now because Antonio Brown's name and his reputation is influencing the way that we look at this, and it should not. By way of bringing up Pac-Man Jones, are you saying that the union made a mistake? Because that allowed it to be said. Yeah. So whatever the circumstances are heading in, it is the union's job automatically to fight to the extent that they can against this so that precedent isn't reinforced. And yeah, I mean, Gene Upshaw was the executive director then, and it was not Gene's doing. Gene stood strong in saying that we should not do that. And several players, a group of which I was a part of, were very upset with the way that the league was looking and the way the players were being perceived. And so we kind of stepped out there and were like, yeah, go ahead and do what you got to do. But prior to that, you think back to Ray Lewis, nothing happened to Ray Lewis when all that stuff was happening down in Miami until after the decisions were made and then finally the penalty was very small. So I think this is important to remember. While we all have opinions about Antonio Brown, we have to understand that we should treat him the same way.
My position is that of an opinion. I'm just saying that based on the recent history involving the commissioner's exemption, I would be shocked if he's not on it in 48 hours.
I guess this would be my question, more so on a personal level, distancing yourself from the PA. The fact of what Max was saying in light of the act taking place while she was asleep, in light of in the civil suit, him saying, I felt like a rapist, don't you feel like that's reflecting poorly?
No,
the NFL and the Patriots, and based on just everything that's transpired over
I would not be upset at that situation. But the point that I'm bringing up is that there will be another incident where something else comes up. A player gets accused of shoplifting. Something like that will come up, and then the precedent will be set that we stood idly by and allowed them. What about without
The
evidence?
PA has to fight.
So that's what about? Forgive, I don't mean to mansplain this, as they say, right? But this was also the point I was making earlier. What about simply what he admitted or what he claimed he did in a text message? Once you send a text message, if the other party claims to wants to make that public, you have no right to privacy, as far as I understand it, right? So if she makes that public, just the fact that he wrote what he did in that text message, wouldn't that rise to the level of being on the commissioner's exempt list?
The commissioner exempt list is something that he decides, right? It's not necessarily, and so it speaks to what Dominique, it speaks to Dominique's point of like, that there's no set rules. It doesn't say if you do this, then I can put you on the commissioner exempt list. And so there is all types of gray area and that you have to figure out there. So yes, if he makes the decision that that is enough, the commissioner could move forward with that. But what we're saying is, as a PA, we would also have to try to support him in the process of being able to play.
Just a couple of just a nugget of information I wanted to give you because I got a lawyer that said that explained something to me about the $75,000 amount that she was suing for. He said, "quote, the minimal amount she had to get into federal court based on diversity of jurisdiction, two parties from different states, essentially 75K is a procedural matter that triggered the federal court's diversity jurisdiction, i.e. a plaintiff and defendant who live in different states. The claim will probably end up being for over $1 million. The reason why they bring that up, and the reason why I'm bringing it up to y'all, is obviously the fact that that is the goal, that she has bigger plans. Don't you think that may factor into the league's thinking in terms of addressing this issue?
It could become criminal. Yeah.
The fact that they can foreshadow that.
I believe they can, but a lot of what we deal with is not foreshadowing. We want to deal in fact. And when these conversations happen about Antonio Brown, it'll be about the facts that we have, the things that
according to the Players Association, I'm saying that's not always, if I'm correct, that's not always your argument against the league. The league tries to foreshadow and they try to cut things over the head while y'all try to keep them in the here and now. Is that correct?
This is not how Roger Goodell wanted to start the 100th NFL
No way.
season.
No way.
We know that. Dominique, Ryan, thank you so much for your opinion. Kevin Durant, guys, arguably the best player in the NBA, but says he sometimes hates being a part of it. Stephen A. has a problem with these comments. Don't miss that reaction coming up next. KD hating the NBA. Gus Odell says he's being targeted. He's a victim in Watchgate, but is it smart for him to wear the timepiece during the case? That's coming up later here on Radio.
Thank you, Bryce.
Somebody here can answer the question. And I answer the question.
If you want telling us why.
That's different definition of face or shoot.
Mr. In Between, from yours tonight at 10 on FX.
Welcome back to First Take, presented by the United States Marine Corps.
All right, party people, let's talk a little NBA. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal published yesterday, Kevin Durant reflected on his career, saying in part that he doesn't trust anyone with the Thunder organization after how he was treated when he left, and that he never felt accepted by his Warriors teammates in Golden State. He also had this to say about playing in the NBA. Some days I hate the circus of the NBA. Some days I hate that the players let the NBA business, the fame that comes with the business, alter their minds about the game. Sometimes I don't like being around the executives and the politics that come with it. I hate that. Didn't I? Have a problem with hating someone?
Yes, I do. I have a problem with it because I think it's based on ignorance, or I think it's based on being, selective in some things. Let's be very, very clear. Kevin Durant is a really, really good guy. He's a smart guy. Kevin Durant is also somebody that just complains a little bit too much about the very things he eliminates. Kevin Durant will have you believe that it's all right just to play basketball and do nothing else. But that's not what Kevin Durant is. Kevin Durant is a basketball player, a superstar. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. Um, he's a lot of different things. Kevin Durant is worth over $300 million, and I think I'm being kind there. And so he's not lying, and he is a human being. He has a right to hate the NBA someday, the bureaucracy, the politics that come with it. That's all of us. We get all of that. But he, when he starts talking about, if you listen to his comments about being in Golden State and how he was just separate and apart from the other guys eventually because he wasn't one of them. He wasn't drafted by them the way the other guys were. Well, you were drafted by Oklahoma City, but you left. And then when you leave, you talk about how you never, get over that, how they treated you. Well, how are they supposed to treat you? They're fans. And you said, I don't want to be a part of you any longer. Of course, that's going to be the case. And so he just sometimes, the reason why I really have a problem with it is because sometimes he just seems to be separated, not from knowing the reality of things, but accepting it and understanding that it's applicable to everybody, not just you. If I played for a team and I left, their fans are not going to like me. You know what I'm saying? If I'm making all of this money playing the sport, then there are responsibilities that I'd rather not have that are going to come with it. We get it. He seems to want the joy of everything without accepting, the baggage that comes along with it. And I think that when you look at certain guys, certain superstars that have been in this league in the past, that are in this league now, there's an acceptance of the pros and the cons that come with everything, more so than it's accepted from him. So it's not really a problem like I'm dogging him in any way. It's just that I just wish he accepted it a little bit better.
I have no problem with the basic position KD is taking, which is this. I thought the most interesting part of the whole article was, if someone asks me a direct question about my past, I'm not going to run from it. I'm going to answer. And every time I do, you guys are saying, you make a big deal about it. I can't help that. I'm going to answer. I love that KD keep telling the truth. But that's not my real response to this article. This is not just a puff piece. It's a piece of commercialism. Look, I understand this is also a piece of commercialism. We're selling cars and sneakers and everything you watch during the commercial, right? But when the piece of commercialism is embedded in the very content, the way it is in this article on KD in the Wall Street Journal, guys, I know from this article, as though I was reading a piece in GQ, I know how much those leopard Nike shorts cost and the shirt he was wearing. It's $100. You know why? Because there were 15,000 pictures, and every time he was wearing one of those, and then also maybe his own clothes. I don't know. Does that mean he has his own line of clothes? But every time it's this costs $100 from Nike, this costs $100. I didn't see like the actual. I had a printout of it. Could you click on a link and purchase the stuff there? Because that's what it felt to me, like they were selling clothing. And so I would like to know what's the relationship before this piece came out, and what conversations were had between KD's people, Nike, and the Wall Street Journal. That's what this feels like to me. There's a big bunch of nothing except that. This is KD who's very interested in being a mogul, and certainly being perceived that way, the way LeBron is, right? It elevates him and distances him from the rest of the NBA. Doing something, a piece that makes him out to be that kind of figure, and also sells, either signed with Nike through 2024 and sells Nike products. Like, that's what was happening in this so-called article. So, that's my big thought about it. The other thing that occurred to me, though, is it's not as though KD doesn't have anything left. He has never been the guy who got to a place, and it wasn't already a championship caliber team, led them to a championship. And to me, that was kind of lost in the article. Like, the most important story about KD right now is the question, even if his goodest days are behind him, can his greatest be in front of him? Can he lead a team to a championship as unquestionably the best player, biggest star on a team that's not won a championship before he got there?
I've often argued about that because I think that KD's a superstar. I think that he's probably the best player in the world and healthy, sensationally. But I've got news for you. Since you and I several people that are incredibly familiar with the history of KD in Oklahoma City. And it's interesting if we talk about him and what he supposedly wasn't. I never viewed it that way. He's the best player on the Oklahoma City Thunder, even though Russell Westbrook is that dude. The bottom line is KD is what got you, et cetera, et cetera. And I asked somebody, I said, I don't understand. They said, Stephen A., if you're going to get on KD about anything, you guys on him about the wrong thing. They said, when he was in Oklahoma City, he wasn't viewed as the leader. I was like, what were you talking about? I mean, I know Andrew Scrimmage is the best player in the league. He said he was the best player. They said, but it was hard for Russell Westbrook to follow him because KD, the man that you see right now, was a boy back then. And Russell Westbrook came in a man. Came in. Russell Westbrook, write his own checks, handle his own responsibility, do all of these things himself. So to go to Russell Westbrook and to ask him to follow that guy, Russell Westbrook was a man looking at you like you're asking him to follow a boy. This is what they said. I'm quoting. I'm not telling you who, but I'm quoting folks that said that, and it was more than one person. And so when I look at it from that perspective, that's not to knock KD in any way, but it is to articulate and elevate your point that even if he goes to Brooklyn, he still has a lot to prove because you passed up the opportunity to stay in OKC improvement. You went to Golden State and you yourself acknowledged that it was them more than you, and now you're in Brooklyn.
It was a great and awesome choice to go to Brooklyn, in my opinion, and it was the one choice KD could make that could elevate him in the all-time standard.
Because they haven't established a tradition. It's not his tradition.
And if he brings a championship to New York City without just walking into a situation where it's set up for him after this injury, he will elevate himself truly to LeBron status, not until then.
It appears he's being authentic in the comments.
He's always authentic about his feelings.
But
That is
to be
true.
clear from here,
That's
Stephen A. had a problem with the comments, in my opinion. We'll leave it on that note, guys. Is ESPN being so disrespectful to Nick Saban's dynasty at Bama? We'll explain when the mouth of the South, Paul Feinbaum, our guy, he joins us next. Latest on the sexual assault lawsuit filed against Antonio Brown. Plus, Dak Prescott's new comments about getting a new deal done in Dallas. That's SportsCenter on ESPN. And yeah. Nick Saban's Bama program might be the greatest in history, but only one of his teams made ESPN's list of the top 10 in history. 1971, Nebraska was voted the greatest team of all time. At number 5, our last season's Clemson Tigers. We have to go down to number 10 to find Saban's 2009 tide. On that note, paging all things college football, our friend Paul Feinbaum. Always good to see you, sir. Let me ask you this. Let's start with that poll of greatest teams ever. What, if anything, is wrong, Paul?
Well, I think what I don't like is Clemson being number 5. And I know what they did in the playoffs. They won by 27 and 28. They didn't play anyone out their ways. And I think it's just a typical overreaction. Now, it's always difficult trying to judge one generation to the next. I grew up, my favorite TV sportscaster was Howard Cosell. Now it's Stephen A. Smith. Which one would I pick if I had to do a top 10 list? I think I'd go Stephen A. But I voted, my vote didn't look like that, and I didn't have to say Saban teams any higher, but I mean, I start thinking about the great teams in history, and the Nebraska teams really stand out, the SC teams, Pete Carroll, but you could just close your eyes and pick one. So in other words, after the Nebraska, after the 2004 USC squad, you're like, close your eyes and pick one. Yeah. You think those two are head and shoulders above everybody? I think so. It's so difficult. I've racked my brain, and in some ways, I think I'll say Saban's best team maybe in 2010 when he didn't win. He was supposed to beat everyone by 3 or 4 touchdowns, and on this very weekend, they lost to South Carolina in Columbia. But you think about the players he had on some of those teams. Julio Jones, he had Mark Ingram, who won the Heisman. Defensive players that have littered the NFL draft. It's very difficult to say.
Miami has some spots too. That's
2001,
that's unbelievable. Be on that list. In terms of the game right now, you have said, and many have, before the season started, Clemson and Alabama and Georgia classify themselves, right? Now LSU pops up at 4. Is it a class of 3 or 4? Will LSU be there at the end?
Well, I don't think so for this reason. They still have to deal with Alabama. And I know everyone loves Joe Burrow, and they should. And I give Orgeron credit. I mean, he's a stubborn guy who finally decided, you know what, I'm going to bring somebody in who's more capable of opening this thing up. And he brought in Joe Brady from the New Orleans Saints. But I still don't believe on this day, second week in September, that LSU can go to Tuscaloosa and beat them for this reason. They have the offense to beat them. Do they have the defense to beat them? They got scorched pretty badly by Sam Ehlinger, who really doesn't have the complement. You know what I'm talking about here, Stephen. Hey, Alabama's got wide receivers 5, 6, 7 deep. Nobody can compare to that.
You talked to me when I interviewed yesterday. I asked you a question about the best quarterback in college football right now. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence, obviously, because I was in the business of Trevor or Tua, and obviously I brought up Justin, Herbert out of Oregon. You brought up Justin Fields at Ohio State. What are we missing? Talk to us about this kid and why. I didn't expect you to bring that up, but you did.
Yeah, I didn't say he was the best, but when you take a look at him, he is just lightning fast. And Stephen A., you don't find that many quarterbacks that can move like he does. And we didn't really see much of him last year. It just didn't work out. He didn't complement that system very well. I'm still wondering why he went there to the University of Georgia. But keep your eye on him. And I was on the Harbaugh train early on, and by the way, I'm sitting in the caboose alone right now. There's nobody near me on that train. But I think Justin Fields is such an impact player that he could potentially lead Ohio State.
I want to stay on the Harbaugh train. There was a lot of yelling at my house on Saturday when they barely beat Army. I mean, it was bad. I'm a UConn fan, and we've gotten close with Army.
Sure.
Let me ask you this: do you feel like with Jim Harbaugh, when you're in Michigan, when you're in those areas, you've talked about this, there's a lot of support for him, right? In terms of the fans. But what does this guy need to do to keep his job here down the stretch?
Well, I still don't think his job is in jeopardy. But again, if we move forward and he loses, he's got some tough games. Wisconsin on the road, he could lose that. Loses to Notre Dame, and then let's say he loses that one, Penn State, 2 or 3, and doesn't get to the playoffs. Yeah, I think this disgust level of Michigan fans is going to finally rise. So I think college football fans are disgusted with Jim Harbaugh, but I'm yet to hear, and you know
But
more
this
than I do.
was the year that they could maybe beat Ohio State. I was also hearing that too.
According to Paul Finebaum.
But no, Paul,
Yeah,
honestly,
but
Army?
the problem that he has, he still has a base support, but it's going to evaporate on him pretty quickly, and I think that's his danger. I am so conflicted on this guy because
I'm not.
I'll listen to you.
The only reason I'll say is this, and I'll let you go back. Jim Harbaugh is very, very simple. You didn't have much before he got here. His predecessors at Michigan weren't that great, okay? We understand that. So he's better than most. Got about 10 or 3 seasons and all that stuff. He lost the last 2 bowl appearances. Here's the bottom line. There's 2 things you got to do. Get to the college football playoffs. Beat Ohio State. Now, if you do one of the 2, it's forgivable, but we prefer both. He's done neither. Urban Meyer owned him. And now that Ryan Day is there in his first year, okay, I mean, if you can't beat Ohio State now, and you certainly ain't going to the college football playoffs, then you know what you are? Just another coach. Jack. Not Jag. Just another coach.
You ain't Jack. Yes, I am.
Just another coach.
Paul, I want to ask about Jalen Hurts. Because when I look at Lincoln Riley, it's
the development. All three of these guys have something in common. They left the program. Now, the other two were left under much worse circumstances. I mean, Jalen Hurts just happened to run in one of the generational quarterbacks in two of them. The other two didn't. They couldn't beat out anyone or hold the job. So they flew out of there for another opportunity. And Lincoln Riley, to me, just has that skill, an innate skill to develop and nurture. The problem Jalen Hurts had at Alabama, he went through about 4 offensive coordinators, and he was never quite the same after Lane Kiffin. I mean, I know they did okay, but Kiffin and Hurts had this very unique relationship. It was nonverbal sometimes, and he didn't have that and got a little bit lost and didn't develop a downfield passing game. I'm still not sure he's going to be a top choice in the NFL draft. That doesn't matter. We're talking about the Heisman. And there's a sentiment. The Heisman is a vote. It's an election. And people like me and you guys don't always pick the guy who's the best or pick somebody who stands out. Because the Heisman I know what it says on the sheet when you vote, but you can interpret it any way you want. Not even worried about it. You have a social support crowd because Oklahoma's not getting consecutive Heisman trophies. I think you'll have people in the vote against him because of that alone.
I wonder if he's going to have a successful NFL career because Lincoln Riley seems to work some magic.
I disagree with you on that. I think because he is unique. Now, it depends on who it comes down to. The guy I may be a little concerned about right now is Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I know he's probably the best player in the country. But after Saturday night, when they played Syracuse on ABC, you're not going to see this guy again. Because they're not going to play anyone again that's even consequential. So he's going to go on the dark side of the moon, and he can rack up big-time numbers, and I'm really not going to care if we're going to play somebody that Matt wants.
Struggle is what they'll remember.
Right.
You know, I think you must have stuck on Jim Harbaugh. Jim and John couldn't have had a more polar opposite weekend. So Lamar Jackson redemption tour, and then Matt. Paul, great to have you with us as always. Still plenty more to come here on First Take, including Odell taking on the NFL, Cam's falling star, and what will happen to Antonio Brown's NFL career. Not go anywhere.
Y'all make me sick, man. The Browns haven't done a damn thing yet. Nothing. They look good on paper, and look good in here. I mean, it's all special right here. You got to go out there and perform.
That's the first thing I do is go to my phone, and Verizon is always with me.
I can leave my computer, but my phone, I cannot. Really is sort of the backbone of our company.
For a limited time, buy the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus 5G. All the for business. And the first Galaxy Note to run on the Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband network. Choose your port, colors on.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'll tell you, Ryan. Built to make each trip a story. Tales worthy of becoming fine, leather-bound books. And because of the available 6 built-in USB charging ports, none of those books will be dead. Chapter 1. Today, our phones all died.
First Take is presented by the United States Marine Corps and in part by Xfinity. This is beyond Wi-Fi. This is Xfinity X5. And by Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Pioneer, highly questionable PCI. For the last 20 years, the traditional look at what a tennis player looks like is that woman in the purse. That is American tennis. It's fascinating. Those two guys specifically go out before the age of 30 when they're both generational talent.
Jerry Jones isn't going to fool around. He wants to win a Super Bowl. He's not going to worry that much about how much money it costs.
Some boys there. Down the road, you know what happens when they cut them loose? The New England
that's just my life. And if it ain't this, it's something else. If it wasn't the watch, it would have been the way I tied my shoes. This just makes me think of the Joel Osteen rule. I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. He's just really playing the victim card. Is Watchgate a big deal or no big deal?
He is making it a big deal. Look, normally, do you expect me to defend Odell? Normally, I defend him when things are like, if I feel like he's getting an unfair shake, I defend him. I didn't defend him when he didn't need to be defended because he dropped passes in the playoffs. That, I have to say what happened. In this case, I defended him wearing the watch. Who cares? Like, oh, it costs a lot of money. Stop it. He's a watch. However, if it comes to the NFL's attention that it's illegal to wear that watch, it's against their rules, you simply take the watch off. It's not hard. I can now, it's his position. Look, I'm going to wear it. And until I hear from someone that I have to take it off, I'll wear it. Okay, Odell, I suppose. But if you do, you simply take it off and let it be done. The idea that he's being singled out is not true. He's a giant star who wore a six-figure watch on his wrist.
He's a press.
When it became a story, people were like, hey, that's actually against rules. You're going to have that. So, like, is it a big deal? Not until he says he's going to keep wearing it. He is making it a big deal.
He's annoying.
Let's go. Not necessary. Because he's not necessary. Let me tell you why. Odell Beckham Jr. Let's ask this question. Victoria. This is throws out. What would you like us to know? What is there to talk about Odell Beckham? Think about that for a second. Since you upset about people talking about you, we talked about the commercial with Eli Manning. Didn't you want us to talk about that when you did that during the Super Bowl? I think so. When you decided to go to Miami the week of a playoff game, why did we talk about that? Because you took a picture on the phone with a bunch of brothers and posted.
And because he dropped all the passes
because we were saying, okay, since you got to play at Lambeau Field, which ain't South Beach, 6 days from now, show up. That's why we talked about it. So we talked about that. The picture in France. Is that anybody's fault that while you were eating pizza, somebody was near you with a white powder substance?
Yeah, that was someone else's fault. Someone else took the picture.
I'm just saying. The point is, but no. But he didn't mind. He didn't know it was going to be posted. But he was posing in that picture with pizza. Let's be clear. It wasn't like, you caught him. He was posing. It wasn't like somebody shot him and he didn't know. He's like, that's what he was doing. All right, so let's be clear about that. He was posing. So there we go. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow. So let's understand something here, okay? Let's be very, very clear. Odell Beckham Jr., you're a victim. I don't recall anybody victimizing him other than the Giants, because I don't think the Giants should have let him go. But here's my point. It's not like you've given us winning football to talk about. Been on the Giants. And your first week in Cleveland, we know how that went.
What did he have, 70 yards?
71 yards, 7 receptions. My point is that Odell Beckham Jr. is the one guilty of all of this. Because Odell Beckham Jr. seems to have known he wasn't going to win. So he said, let me do what I can to bring attention to myself. That way my profile continues to be here. Or if not, it elevates. And as a result, I will remain relevant in the eyes of everybody else. Because the reality is, regardless of his greatness, Freddie Kitchens, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, first year head coach. I didn't say obviously not one of the most successful. Just go. So, do you realize that Freddie Kitchens is one of the most popular coaches in the National Football League? Why? Because what we've been talking about. The Browns, or what they're supposed to do. Not what they done. What they're supposed to do. See if your personality, you understand, okay, you know what we're talking about you, but what have you done? I think Freddie Kitchens is going to do just fine. By the way, I think Baker Mayfield is going to do just fine. Obviously, Odell Beckham Jr. is a superstar talent. But what I'm saying is, the attention that these folks get, they bring on themselves. Now, we are not ones to talk. The difference is, we ain't complaining. Y'all are complaining about the attention you see.
Can I say one thing? I will say he's totally playing the victim card. But
Yes.
one thing I do want to give props to Baker Mayfield after that loss, obviously 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter, the terrible game script. He really came to the mic like a leader.
Yeah.
He didn't play the victim card at all.
I'm not worried about Baker.
I like Baker Mayfield. I just want them to produce on the
I'm not
field.
worried about Odell either. Antonio Brown showed behavior that you have to worry about.
Right.
I don't think Odell's behavior rises to that level.
Odell's smart.
A guy like, because he's a huge superstar.
By the way.
Julio Jones has like perfect behavior.
By the way, you ready for this? Let me give Odell Beckham Jr. something else. He's been very, very good on ball. I'm a fan of that show. I'm a fan of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and those boys. You know, obviously John David Washington. I like ball. He's been on it. Odell Beckham Jr. is doing a good job. Here's the problem. Once again, that's not winning football.
All right, well, we're going to see
Washington,
them on Monday Night
He's
Football.
doing a good job.
They're going to play the Jets
He's doing a good
right
job.
here on ESPN. We should go to that game. Jets Browns.
Yeah.
Why? Why should I get stuck in traffic?
Okay, I was
You know what?
Can I
They
get
should,
to this camp
they
first?
should,
Or we have anything else to add?
that should be titled that game. Somebody should win this game. Somebody has to win.
All right, I'm getting
Well, it's
to
not
Cam
big.
now. Cam and the Panthers lost their season opener to the Rams on Sunday. For the first time in his career, Cam did not complete a pass longer than 17 yards, but he's making it clear that his deep ball aches his shoe.
I spoke to a few players today, same thing. But as a guy in a place of position, quarterback is it. Just give her some that people are even asking. Yeah, because you're only asking because of my shoulder. How about this? Talk to the defense coordinator for 10. And don't think I can throw the ball over 20 yards. See how far that gets you. I think Coach got to see that though for fantasy this year. I think he can see that for fantasy. I think that's what it is. God, man, don't think see that for fantasy, man. I should have went over and seen who you were drafting in this league. You know, that's probably why we ain't doing no deep passes, right? Because he didn't pick me for his quarterback. That's all making sense.
Cam up there holding court. Obviously, it'll be him against famous James there. Just looking lean, Stephen A. A little leaner than normal. How do you feel like we should view Cam?
I think you should view Cam as a guy that's got a lot to do. Not like somebody who has a rock. He is a former leader. He is a phenomenal athlete. When healthy, there is a reason to believe that he can do big things. He's shown it to us sporadically. Cam Newton has been in the league now for 8 years. 4 times he's missed the playoffs. 4 times he's made it. My attitude is this. We talk about Cam, and you know, listen, built, strong, athletic, but we talk about him at times like he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. That's simply not the case. He's an elite athlete, but he's got a lot to prove as a quarterback. And the Carolina Panthers need to help him because they need to give him better weapons, not just Christian McCaffrey. I get that. But at some point in time, you got to remember, up until last year, when he completed 67.9% of
Winston, he's a former MVP who was the following season in the preseason selected by his peers the #1 player in football. I will remind everyone who was active and healthy back then. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. #1 player by his peers. He has led his team, an underwhelming offensive team, to a Super Bowl, and they were live late in that game.
Big time, baby. It's in church. Okay.
He came out a year before Andrew Luck. He had a better pro career than Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is now retired. Andrew Luck is like my favorite in the league. And Cam Newton is still playing. More longevity, hit higher heights, took a team farther than Andrew Luck. How do we perceive Andrew Luck? There are more than one way to get it. There's more than one way to get a job done. I understand what you mean about completion or something. Get a good job done without those extraordinary completion percentages. Until last season, I thought, where this guy was probably the best when he got hurt. He's already a former MVP. When he got hurt, he should still be in his physical prime. And they just lost by a field goal to the NFC representatives in the Super Bowl, week 1, without all these offensive weapons. How should we view Cam? You know why he hasn't been New Orleans is a perennial powerhouse, and the Falcons have been to a Super Bowl recently. What do you want him to do? He's had an extremely successful pro career, and he's a big star.
All right, let me move it forward here on Antonio Brown because I have some news. So the story dominating headlines is Antonio Brown being accused of sexual assault by his former trainer, Brittany Taylor. Taylor accused Brown of 3 incidents of assault in 2017, 2018, including an alleged rape. Bill Belichick said today that Brown will practice with the Pats. The NFL will be investigating the matter, according to the Patriots. Stephen A., I know we're almost out of time, but what should the NFL do with Brown?
Well, I'm not going to say what they should do because I'm of the mindset that you're innocent until proven guilty, and this is a very serious allegation. And you want to be careful not to attach any semblance of guilt to him without knowing all the facts. Having said all of that, what I believe will happen, I will be shocked if the NFL doesn't place him on the commissioner's exempt list on Friday. I'll be stunned just because of the history of doing so.
I agree. I would say the best policy is to wait till the facts come out. I will also say the facts as I understand them at this moment, including a text message sent apparently by Antonio Brown, lead me to believe he will be on the commissioner's exempt list at least.
We'll have much more on this, obviously, tomorrow. Also, we didn't get to touch on this. Team USA lost to France. That never happens. A lot to discuss. Back here tomorrow on First Take. Stephen A. Smith, Max, I'm Molly. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for hanging.
Never hurt. Playing hurt. Quite a year. And I'm in this really low chair, so I look like kid seat.
I feel too high. That's fine. I don't know if I can let this go down any lower. Yeah. I would rather be lower. Okay. Right.
Break it to 30.
Oh, it's going.
Oh.
Hey! There we go. Now we're all back normal for those of you watching us all over the interwebs, Twitter, Facebook, ESPN app. I know I'm forgetting something else. YouTube as well. Thank you to the YouTubers. We got plenty to get into today. It's Wednesday, which means we'll be focusing on the week ahead. Stefania being here gives us plenty of time to dive into all of the injury updates of note. Plus, we got a bunch of, some rankings, conversations, some news. We've got a segment surrounding Mike Clay. Everyone wants more Mike Clay. We are giving it to you later on today.
You know what the two people really want more Mike Clay?
Who's that?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was saying like that. Who really?
Yeah, who does? The people really want more Mike Clay? You're liking the show. She certainly does not listen to the podcast.
That is your children's show. They're young. They have a little podcast app, right?
No, they don't.
Okay.
My parents, though, they don't listen to it.
You don't know what you're missing out on. Let's get to it. She sure is Stefania Bell, and as lovely as the voice of Chip and Kit are today, Stefania's going to power through it. She's
terms of repositioning, like the only way you do it is at the hospital where they have a cardiothoracic surgeon on standby. That's how serious this is. So props to the medical techs for expediting pregnancies into the hospital. Luckily, they did not have to do surgery. They did not have to go in surgically into the patient. They were able to reduce it at the hospital, re-image, be comfortable doing so that he stayed overnight during that pregnancy. Now it's getting the swelling, the pain down, getting it back to normal. The only comp we have in recent memory of a wide receiver having this injury was Danny Dimes back in 2012.
Remember that?
He missed 5 weeks. So similar situations, did not require surgery. And, you know, he was back, I think, practicing, showed up at the London game with the team. But they've had him back in 5 weeks. You have to allow the soft tissue to heal so it's comfortable with the guy landing on him. And Danny Amendola came back and had no further problems and hasn't had a problem since. So if you look at a very small sample size of 4, that's a pretty close comp, but everybody's different. So around, that's why you're here, I see your timetable 4 to 6 weeks. I'm like, you could be right. You have to be prepared for longer.
I think we may learn something. If the Chiefs do not put Tyreek Hill on the injured reserve list, it tells you that, like, hey, there is hope it could be less than 8 weeks again, which I think that 4 to 6 week injury report that Stephon you just mentioned. So, Mike, there are 2 players who are directly impacted by this news. Sammy Watkins is a player that was, I think he was the star of fantasy football amongst wide receivers. So, Mike, let's dive right into there. Sammy Watkins has 1 straight game. Tyreek Hill is likely to play on Sunday. How high does Sammy Watkins climb in the air right now?
He climbs up to wide receiver 8, and I think we're all on there, right? I think we're all on wide receiver 8.
Wide receiver 8, that's the word.
We are indeed. So he is a wide receiver 1 for now, and we saw that in display in week 1. We saw what? I mean, yeah, he caught some breaks with the touchdowns, right? One of them he was wide open, the other he just caught the ball in the middle of the field and kind of still there until it happened. So he ran all the way down the field for a touchdown. That's not going to happen every week, certainly, but he had terrific opportunity. The volume was there. Obviously, the snaps and routes are going to be there, and I'm told he's a good quarterback as well in Patrick Mahomes, so he's going to be very busy in this offense. There's no question he's on that wide receiver 1 radar. Behind him, the next guy I would want, I mean, you're picking between the rookie Mecole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson, the veteran, who's been around a while, but Hardman, I think we kind of all expected him to start really slow and not play too much out of the gate. He actually played more snaps and ran more routes than Robinson already in week 1, so I fully expect them to try to utilize him similarly to the way they used Hill. And, you know, I know we only have 1 target in week 1, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have 1 target next week. He could have 7 in this game. So I think he is the priority ad. He's kind of flown under the radar with these other young receivers that broke out, but I think he's the guy that should be on roster.
He feels like the confidence level is high. Super fast.
Yeah, that's what he was. And as you may recall, the Tyreek Hill audio that sort of got the ball rolling again with his off-field pace came out on the first night of the NFL draft. The Chiefs used a 2nd-round pick on Mecole Hardman. Imagine Tyreek Hill being on their roster. Mecole Hardman is sort of a luxury pick, right? I mean, and so the reason why they drafted him was because they didn't necessarily foresee Tyreek Hill definitely being on their roster. So Hardman is a comparable to what Tyreek Hill brings to the table. But let's just double back to Sammy Watkins 1 more time, because what Watkins brings to the table is not just opportunity. You mentioned some of the things that happened last week that may not be likely to happen again. But Sammy Watkins, remember, this is a player they signed to a 3-year, $48 million contract last year. Overall pick in the draft in 2015. going to rise higher than you, for sure. I think he'll be in the top 20, or top 15, excuse me, or very close to it. And, you know, I mentioned these stats yesterday, but I'll just mention them again to drive it home. RB6 last season during the 2 weeks until Mixon missed. He had 36 touches in those games, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns. You know, Big Ten, you mentioned maybe just taking it easy on Mixon early in the season. Obviously, you don't have to force it. They also have Gio Bernard, so they don't have to force it, right? You can really backup play. This guy has, at times, can handle 14, 15 carries and 6 targets. He can do that. And then, of course, you have a Travion Williams or a Samaje Perine who can handle, 5 or 6 carries. And you're good for a week or two. So, if Mixon is out, Bernard should be in all of
Joe Mixon, I'm sorry, Giovanni Bernard, by the way, they recently did an extension, right? So they have a lot of investments in Giovanni Bernard, not just as a player, obviously a great person in Giovanni Bernard as well. Savagne did not go to the 49ers game on Sunday, we don't think. But Tevin Coleman left what has been described as a high ankle sprain. Savagne, that to me sounds a little tricky for running back.
It is, and the fact that they were concerned immediately about how significant it was. So, it's not, a low-grade ankle sprain cannot be too bad. It's just a bone short. But if it's a low-grade one, our guys can go back and sometimes play very powerfully. Kevin Coleman's case, they've already immediately expect them to put the passes. Although they're saying out this week, sure, week to week after that, if you look at the average data on running backs with high ankle sprain, there's an average of 4 to 6 weeks miss, and when they return, about 80 to 85% of their original production. So there's some information for you, but obviously elevate Paprika, touchdown shoot monster.
So, yeah, I think but there was a buzz we discussed in the podcast yesterday that they could promote Jeff Wilson to the practice squad. My sense is that they would probably do that on Saturday if they were to do it, just so that you can get into a practice week in case somebody else gets hurt on the roster. There are a lot of reasons why teams are going to wait until Saturday to make those promotions.
So I couldn't
Now, Matt Breida is the man in the San Francisco backfield, and I don't know if how popular he is in terms of people across the NFL. But Matt Breida is one of those players that I think no matter who you root for, is fun to watch. He plays bigger than his frame, if that makes sense. Usually guys play smaller than their frame. He plays the opposite. Bigger than his frame, runs incredibly hard, has this great balance about him, and he's sort of made of steel, right? He went through so many small injury issues last season and just kept up coming back support. With Kevin Coleman, Charles Sitz, and Matt Breida is the guy. How high would he climb in your rankings in a matchup against the Bengals, who last week got torched by Chris Carson?
Yeah, I think he would be a good flex option, a borderline RB2. I have him at RB23 on my board right now, so I think that's where he falls. Yeah, this guy has been effective. He struggled a bit after contact, which has always bothered me a little bit, but sometimes that goes with being an undersized back. Like you said, he seems bigger than he is, but sometimes that's part of the process. He still averages almost 5.5 yards per carry. Stepped up his game as a pass catcher last season. The efficiency was terrific. And the one thing I'll say is, though, I don't think he's going to be close to a workhorse, right? I think you'll see plenty of Jeff Wilson, and you'll see Raheem Mostert as well. I mean, you look at the snaps just this past week. Tevin Coleman only played 16 plays before he was injured. Matt Breida, 26 snaps to 18 for Mostert, and 9 pass routes for Breida, 6 for Mostert. So it was very close. Not to mention that they like that Kyle Juszczyk guy. They like to work him in passing situations.
I will tell you this, when I was at camp, it was clear that everyone felt that Breida was tough. But everybody knew he was never going to be able to do work because he felt the need to hold up to it. And I think that's been their concern for all their backs. So it's not going to change just because one is hurt.
Well, if anything, it's going to cement them, right? You've already got one guy hurt. We don't want to just turn the keys over to Matt Breida and play him on 85% of the snaps, see him get hurt, and the next thing you know, we're playing Raheem Mostert, who is
Who also had a compound fracture in the forearm last year.
It's our best defensive player.
Right.
He was the cover kid for a lot of other things. One little piece of injury, and by the way, I really like tape on Matt Breida as a flex option. Falling back from 1924 to 23-22. One more piece of injury, Devin Funchess, signed by the Colts this offseason to a 1-year deal, is on IR now for Funny because of the collarbone.
Right. Same type of thing, and we talked about Nick Foles being driven into the ground. Devin Funchess went up for a jump ball, awkward landing, forced through the shoulder, breaks
talk about a clumsy wide receiver. Anderson has said in the podcast that there are approximately 8 of them in the NFL.
Yeah, we already covered Watkins, right? So,
Good point. I guess you like it.
yeah, we'll check Keen off here as well. Here's the thing about Keen. He only played 10 snaps in week 1, but if you look at the structure of their wide receiver room, it makes it seem like he has a path to play every down because your T.Y. Hilton plays half inside, half outside. Justin Rogers is purely a slot receiver. Paris Campbell, we expect to play kind of a Randall Cobb sort of slot backfield role where he gets a few carries and return opportunities. And then Zach Pascal, of course, adds some depth there. But Kane should be the natural fit to replace Funches on the perimeter. He has good size. He's 6'2". Now he's good wheels. He runs a 4.4. He can contribute at all 3 levels. I mean, I think there's really a lot to like here. In deeper leagues, I think he should be added.
You play up on snap volume. I think their goal was to ramp them up a little bit. And Devin Bush got hurt late in the game.
Yeah.
So now, I think the ramp up goes a little fast.
The Colts offensive coordinator is a guy named Nick Sirianni, who prior to being the Colts offensive coordinator was a wide receivers coach in Los Angeles for the Chargers. So, but I mention that only because, like, you look at a guy's previous stops and, like, what kind of issues he probably values. He likes a wide receiver. Probably does pretty darn well, right? I mean, that's what he is accustomed to throughout his career. So that was kind of put your radar up a little bit. Good stuff there in the injuries department, playing with your own injury as well. And hiring can be a slow process for those that are not previously aware. Cafe Alcura's COO, Dylan Piskowitz, needed to hire a director of cotton for his organic cotton company. Such a good job. But he's having trouble finding qualified candidates. So he switched to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you, it finds them for you. Its technology identifies people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job to get qualified candidates fast. Dylan posted a job on ZipRecruiter and said he was impressed by how quickly the candidates applied. He also used the ZipRecruiter's candidate creation feature to filter his applicants so he could focus on the most relevant ones. And that's how Dylan found his new director of copy in just a few days. Sadly, I didn't know that yet. With results like that, it's no longer 4 out of 5 recruiters who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. With my recruiters effective for businesses of all sizes and remember, ZipRecruiter for free. And our web address is ZipRecruiter.com/06010. That's ZipRecruiter.com/06010. One more time for all those in the back. ZipRecruiter.com/06010. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. All right, let's get the rankings chatter. And this is around the time of the week we're setting your lineup. Thursday game is just around the corner. It's Panthers and Buccaneers. We'll preview it tomorrow. Last week, the Jaguars got to a track meet against the Chiefs. That's fine, but still, they do all the time. The question is this: do you trust Jaguars wide receivers to deliver again in week 2 like they did in week 1? We anticipate this to be a slightly different game, perhaps, against the Texans, who of course are playing the first home game of the year after playing New Orleans this past Monday night in New Orleans. So let's go through them. There are 3 of them. Steve Westbrook, DJ Shark, Chris Conn. Based off of how you have them ranked, and I would say just give me common sense, but because it's clear that there is one Jaguar wide receiver you will trust the most, it's Steve Westbrook. And I get it. He had the fewest receiving yards and second fewest receptions amongst these players, but he's going to be a player that has probably in most weeks sees the greatest target share. He was the guy that they were locking in on throughout the whole season, so to me, but one guy that I trust in this league is Steve Westbrook. You and I both have the wide receiver 39. Is it close though behind that, or am I off base at all with Westbrook?
I'm a little more optimistic on Chris Conley. I kind of liked him as a sleeper coming into this season, but I will say this. I mean, the original question you posed was, can we expect him to repeat this sort of performance? I think the answer is no. I mean, he had a great matchup. We talked about it on Fantasy Football Now on the podcast last week. We kind of expected that with them likely playing from behind and with further corner problems for the Chiefs. So that wasn't totally shocking. If you look at Houston, they have Bradley Roby on the outside and Jonathan Joseph. That is a better quarterback group on the outside for DJ Shark and Chris Conley. Not quite as appealing, but Steve Westbrook, I mean, we had some kind of news last night. Aaron Coleman got loose by the Texans. Obviously, it's been a struggle since they got him in actually over from Jacksonville, so we will not get a chance to men's game this weekend. But I don't think they're pretty red game signing with the Jaguars today and then playing against the Texans. It's double weekend. They're getting the men and the Jaguars showing up good. And I'm also sure the Texans will actually get cut. And then he shuts down Kenny Still, perhaps. Yeah. guys on the bench, didn't I? Yes, exactly. But anyway, I mention that because I don't know what the Texans' answer is in the slot right now. I mean, I look back at the preseason usage, and there was a kid named Xavier Crawford that was the next man up in the slot, and maybe he fills in. I mean, I don't even think he played a snap on the slot.
Dawson, maybe?
Yeah,
They're in a trade recently.
very possible. But again, a guy that has not made an impact at the NFL level yet, at least at a high level. So it's very possible that actually I would say pretty confidently that J.D. Westbrook has the best matchup this season, barring one of these kids surprisingly being very effective right away. That's possible. I mean, maybe there's a reason they cut Fulton because they thought, he's a better player, making less money. We're gonna put him in the lineup. So we'll see how it works out. But I think Westbrook, he's gonna get a mention on the receiver cornerback article this week. I think he's an upgrade. I think he is the preferred play. And by the way, he did play more snaps than the other back keepers last week. So he's still a preferred play. Colton Conley in 12 keepers is a flex. DJ Sharp and the bench right now. I'm excited for him, but not enough market volume.
What the fuck, man? Y'all just.
Article is actually posted right now on ESPN.com. It's going to do a lot of
Quarterback. Yeah, fantasy 32 yesterday, receiver corner today.
Why him? You got a whole nigga over there that's a power forward.
I'm not known as a Bills optimist. In fact, I might be known as the optimist Bills fan. I'm a fan of me for sure. But I'm going to say nice things right now about Josh Allen for sure. I think he's a top 10 option here. He has exceeded already my highest expectations for him in the NFL, and I think all of the analytics community is always wrong with this guy. Looks pretty good and is only improving. But here's the thing. You mentioned the turnovers last week. That really did make the one could have been a much better day. He was QB18 in fantasy, but he was actually QB3 in OFP or expected fantasy points. That full list is up at ESPN Plus. That tells me that he had a great opportunity to score a ton of fantasy points. Generally, those guys, unless the efficiency is terrible, will bounce back. You mentioned the 10 carries. As for the throwing efficiency, we did see him play Marcus as the ball, and that's what we wanted to see. He had the highest average of throw in the league last season. That was down to 80.1. That we saw some increasing potential up to 65%. That's a good sign. Now remember, this isn't completely out of nowhere. He finished last season with 4 top 5 fantasy weeks in his last, or 4 top 5 in his last 6 games. And you mentioned it, the Giants, he just gave up 405 yards and 4 touchdowns to Dak Prescott. So I think he's a QB1 this week.
And I like the fact that he executes totally on you. And I think if you're on the defense, there's just like they were very specific and all supported. It goes a long way on how it showed me more about that on that it had a great start, great
looks more consistent in the second half. So it's a small sample size, but optimistic about Josh Allen's future with the Bills and the Bills chance. So last Sunday night, the Steelers played well in the preseason game against the Patriots. At least based on how they performed, let's go with that, right? The preseason game, which Jonathan Moncrief, James Washington. Actually, not so much. I can't put too much on James Washington. Mostly the vertical threats, not much more in that game. But early in the season, he's optimistic. He can stay led. And LSU is opponent. He has the opportunities to play any senior wide receiver, not named Juju Smith-Schuster. He looks to play anybody that was not Juju who kept passes for a living.
I actually start from Ben Roethlisberger. I just don't love her offense outside of James Conner. I think he really helped us I was never a fan of
Well, now, can influence, that's for sure. But among the players, not individual shooters, I think people are going to have to start somewhere. My question is this, and again, this is all small sample size. So what I wonder is, we all assume, or we all hope, that what happens in the NBA, and you look at Brown and Spawn, Juju said in the Antonio Brown one, then instead of, and then what happens is then Lonzo Ball or James Washington steps into the Juju role. Maybe what we saw on Sunday night, when you look at the rotation closely, you look at the routes that both players are running, and the way the ball is distributed, then maybe the idea was, no, it's not going to be where we have one player assuming the Juju role. It's going to be a collection of talent that picks things up enough that they can serve as awesome offense. Now, conversely, what about Anthony Davis? It's also one guy that the Patriots have one of the best secondaries in the NFL. Do you think it's more likely that one player emerges as an assistant number two, or that none of them emerges enough to even bother playing them in winning games the amount of times?
I think for now they're going to use all of them, and at some point maybe someone emerges. And that guy most likely will be James Washington. He's the guy we want on my bench right now. I agree with Stefani. I'm not going to start any of these guys right now. It's interesting though, because you mentioned them maybe putting Juju in that Brown role. I think they might have tried to. If you look at their preseason usage, Juju was playing on the outside, Brees going to be in the slot, and you have James Washington in the slot. That they didn't carry that over to the regular season. Juju was back in the slot. Washington played on the outside on Sunday night. So that seems to be the plan. I think that's good news for Smith-Schuster. It's going to allow him to be freed up from top corners.
I kind of wonder if the other thing you were saying, traditionally the Patriots have not used Stephon Gilmore as shadow slot receivers. Let's give Juju away from Gilmore into the slot. I think you can say that's not ever happened.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That might have been the plan, and Gilmore certainly did go in, and that's kind of why we neutralized a bit. But normally in the NFL, guys won't do that. You don't see that often. Like, he's probably getting shot on the outside, put him in the slot more often. You see him once in a while, a little bit, but not to that extent. So I'll be surprised if he plays outside more often. I will say this though, Moncrief in Washington, and I guess Deontay Johnson to some extension, have a chance to bounce back. Actually, all of you do, because Seattle just got lit up. That quarterback position, man, they passing kind of played well. They had Trey Flowers, a rough day, did Schechter on the other side. Yeah, they don't know what they're doing in the slot right now. Hugo Amadi at the ground, rookies playing the slot. I mean, all of these Steelers receivers have a shot to bounce back. What shot me if Big Ben threw for 400 yards?
Also, Big Ben home. I know this sort of confused last year, but he was bowling there. So he hasn't had too much investment in Ben Roethlisberger this year, but for somebody who does, it's got to be frustrating. All right, Mike, maybe they're not going to play any Rams in their season lineup, but here we go. Would you play the Pittsburgh Steelers in your daily lineup, and if so, where would you do it? Where would you play such games?
I would play them, well, if we're talking Moncrief for Washington, maybe in a DFS DraftKings tournament lineup. I've heard they're good. In fact, week 1, you may know, is in the books. The DraftKings is not finished celebrating with some huge fantasy football contests. For week number 2 of the football season, DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy football, is giving new users a free shot at over $1.5 million in prizes with your first deposit when you visit DraftKings.com/FFF. Draft your lineup and feel the sweat like never before. Every run, throw, and catch means more with a DraftKings lineup on the line. It's simple. Just draft your lineup, stand under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Plus, all new and existing users get a deposit bonus up to $500. That's an extra cash to cover this football season. Nothing adds to the sweat of watching the game quite like having a shot at over $1.5 million in prizes. Head to DraftKings.com/FFF right now for a limited time. All new and existing users can get a deposit bonus up to $500. Plus, new users who sign up at DraftKings.com/FFF will get a free shot at over $1.5 million in prizes with your first deposit. That's DraftKings.com/FFF for all new and existing users with a special offer only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Deposit bonus requires a 25 times playthrough. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Attention, if you are one of drafted number 1, you may be entitled to fantasy compensation. Now important, star
news of the New York Jets is going to be out for the season after suffering yet another neck injury. According to Brian Costello, who does a good job covering the Jets there. And we're just getting this information right now. Quincy Enunwa suffered a neck injury that cost him to miss much of last year. He was signed to a 4-year extension in December worth $36 million. But this might be part of the reason why the Jets were motivated to acquire Demaryius Thomas, who they traded for the Patriots yesterday, a 6th-round pick in 2021, going back later. But let's sort of start addressing, we don't know much here, but Quincy Enunwa played 61 snaps. I think it's kind of scary when you hear a guy with a second major neck injury in his football career.
Especially when you're coming back to football and having cost you so much time. And usually, this will be the last one with his career in question.
Yeah.
So you have to think that might be the case there. Really unfortunate for him.
One thing that Quincy Enunwa, though, is homegrown for the Jets, a player that they have 200 respect for as a person, as a player. So a bummer there. 4 years again, there was a contract extension to sign in December, which of course is some security. The Jets were unhappy with their wide receiver play in general on Sunday. So I mentioned the Demaryius Thomas trade. We're going to get to that, and then we'll talk about Jesus' Crowder value. But just Demaryius Thomas, what do we know about before the Quincy Enunwa role news plus this Quincy Enunwa news? You might have a chance, like, they might have a choice. They kind of need him to play sooner rather than later now.
Yeah, no question. My thought initially was he would be the 3 anyway, or essentially be on the perimeter with Robbie Anderson and of course Jamison Crowder in the slot. Right now they're running Ryan Griffin every play at tight end. Eventually they'll have Chris Herndon back. In fact, I mean, you're stashing Chris Herndon, or he's out there on waivers and you're struggling a little at tight end. Yeah, you might want to scoop him up because I think he's going to play a massive role in this offense, especially after Crowder saw 17 targets in week 1, which was incredible. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I think Crowder is really interesting because on top of 17 targets, I mean, his expected fantasy point total was 23.6. He scored 24.3 fantasy points. He's the 2nd highest OFP to wide receiver. So he got a ton of opportunity, ton of valuable opportunity. And I know he only put up 99 yards. I think that PLEX guy, ESPN, tweeted something. He was close to it. And it was, say that's the first ever.
Yeah, first time ever, and I think I've used some podcasts this week.
Let's do it again.
First time in NFL history, a wide receiver took 14 catches or more and had less than 100 yards. So, but here's the thing. I think some people that, I noticed the reaction from a lot of Jets fans was like, and actually a lot of Dolphins fans was like, yeah, there goes Adam Gase again, doing what he does, Jarvis Landry 2.0. Sometimes I look through things so exclusively into a fantasy lens, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, dude, he got 14 catches for the Jets. Like, he had 23.7 fantasy points last week. I'm good with it. Like, I don't care how many yards he goes for. If he gets somewhere between 8 and 10 catches a week, that's going to be an absolute, he's going to be a top 15 player in the Jets position.
Yeah, he might catch 105 balls and be a wide receiver 2 in PPR. That's Landry again, and that's that. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, Crowder has cleared 3 touchdowns this season once in his career. Landry wasn't a good touchdown towards Miami either. And it's a terrific PPR asset, right? Yeah, he had that one random year that was kind of a fluke. But, I mean, we've seen a top 35, we've seen 2 top 35 seasons from Crowder in his career, but I'm surprised me if he doesn't.
Look at level 7, 15. Mike Cole says NFL 32. It's a Mike Clay production. So we're going to be doing hopefully a lot of on the podcast this season. And, Mike, you sort of laid it out. But sort of factoring in not just what he did in week 1, but the matchup in week 2, how do things play out once again Monday night, big stakes there? Do you anticipate a monster target week again for Jesus Crowder against the Browns on Monday?
Yeah, I do. I mean, to that extent, not 17. He could get half of the targets he saw in this game and still would qualify, I think, right? If he ends up in the, 8 to 9 target range, that's not crazy to imagine. Like we said, we just compared it to the Landry role, obviously, and they beat him right now. We don't know how much Demaryius Thomas is going to play. Robbie Anderson is not going to be a super heavy volume player. How are they working in there? Yeah, sure. Right. But he's also been top 10 in average depth of target each of the past 2 seasons. That means he's a vertical threat. You're not going to see as many targets for him, but they'll be high value targets down the field, potentially long touchdowns, which you certainly like in fantasy. So, I think Crowder will be super busy, super effective in the short range. Won't score you a lot of touchdowns, but definitely can do enough damage to the wide receiver 2, we'll say, if he's there.
All right, let's go back to the heart here, Mike, with Deshaun Jackson. Jackson, of course, for your beloved Eagles. They play the Falcons Sunday Night Football. That's going to be a hungry Falcons team on Sunday night, of course, playing at home in 0-1. Deshaun Jackson was amazing last week. I mean, he was one of the top 5 wide receivers in fantasy football. I've got him ranked at 28. You've got him ranked at 32. I've asked you this question, but I think I've already answered this question in doing so. Are you counting on Deshaun Jackson for performance?
Of course not. I mean, not to that level. There's a few reasons why. First of all, we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about OFP throughout this. If you read the Fantasy 32, you know I always lead with the leaderboard for the week in OFP or expected fantasy point total based on usage, and then the guys who are over their heads the most and the guys that were under their heads the most, if you will, and you expect them to progress to the mean essentially, and it almost always works out that way. So Deshaun Jackson scored 35 fantasy points last week. His expected total 15, which was 20. He just happened to score on some long busted plays, or he just happened to get open. He do that sometimes, but also do the opposite, right? He's probably, if you think boom bust from the past decade in the NFL, who's top that list? I mean, Deshaun Jackson probably, right? If you got the boom last week, you might get the bust this time around. Keep in mind, he scored 2 touchdowns in that game. He hasn't cleared 4 touchdown catches in a season since 2014. So he may get the 6 or 7 this year after starting so hot, but he hasn't traditionally been a good source of touchdowns. He also played fewer snaps than Nelson Aguilar and Alshon Jeffrey.
Alshon doesn't surprise me. The Aguilar part, sort of a forgotten name in Philadelphia receiving.
Yeah, so I still have him ranked as a flex, right, or borderline wide receiver 3. There's obviously a deal, but you have to be ready for some bust weeks as well.
Okay, good on there. So, Deshaun Jackson, though, just fun to watch. I also think, maybe I'm wrong here, we'll often track wide receiver home road splits. It wouldn't stun me if Deshaun Jackson is decidedly better and just energized, either at home or when playing against former teams. And as far as I know, he did not play with the Falcons previously in the game that we played with Atlanta. So I think, if I get to that, I think we have to accommodate if we knock him down right here, just because of those reasons. Miles Sanders, you have him at running back. I have him 34, Mike has him 38, Star Farm has him at 35. Now, I think many people agree he looked like the superior runner in week 1. Mike, not a huge game in production-wise. There's not a lot of flash plays. Is he going to get a greater workload this week after playing a team-high 36 running back snaps in week 1?
Yeah, he's kind of the opposite of Jackson. So whereas Jackson may lose some of these scoring opportunities or touchdowns or fantasy points, Sanders should be able to pick them up. Only 4 points in week 1. His OSP, again, his expected point total 11. That was still only 27th at the position, but it was much better, almost triple his actual output. So that's a good sign. That means he was getting the opportunity for more points. He had some support near the goal line. He'll bounce back, I think. So 36 snaps in that game. He had 12 touches. Darren Sproles and Jordan Howard combined to play 36 snaps and had 20 touches in the game. So Sanders obviously played a lot of snaps in this one. I think he'll bounce back again against an Atlanta defense that gave up 120 yards to Dalvin Cook. He was in Minnesota. This one's in Atlanta, obviously, which benefits the Falcons. But again, you like the fact that Sanders, in his NFL debut, was already doubling up these other guys in snaps. Again, it's weird to say he's a little lower than these guys on him, but I still think he's at least in the flex conversation.
One of those players I think those who roster him are hopeful that by mid-season he's a clear-cut guy. I think it depends on when, but then again, if you drafted him, I saw him go in our show in the 2nd round.
Yeah, Moore took him 24th overall.
So I'm sure Moore probably is thinking, look, I want him to be a starter right now. But for those who may have taken Miles Sanders in the 5th or 6th round, you can probably afford to be patient with him. You already have 2 running backs on your roster. They're going to clear 2 starting spots as it is. So optimism for Miles Sanders. Patience is also his thing. So no such patience needed for Josh Jacobs, the first running back taken in the NFL draft this past year. I have running back 11, Mike at running back 11, and Stefani at running back 10. Really solid in his debut. My question is this. They play the Chiefs this Sunday. The game is being played at Arrowhead Stadium. Raucous environment. The Chiefs are really good. Go ahead, Stefani. Take it away.
Scares me every time.
The Chiefs are really good.
It should. It's their specific career.
How about the passing game involvement for like the passing game involving the fact that they can't rush the ball 23 times for whatever it was, 85 yards for Josh Jacobs? Is that scary though, Mike? Because I'm really talking. I can't tell if I'm talking myself into this or if maybe I'm just playing devil's advocate for no reason.
Yeah, I think it could be a Jalen Richard game. That wouldn't surprise me at all. He only played 9 snaps in the opener, but this is interesting. Josh Jacobs ran 10 pass routes in that game. Only 6 for Jalen Richard, so that's certainly a good sign. Actually 3 for DeAndre the 85 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing, obviously. Only the 1 target. He did have a 28-yard catch. You want to see more involvement. That makes you a little nervous, as you mentioned in this game script, but obviously a good start. You love that volume. And honestly, whenever they run the ball, it's going to be him. They just don't have other options.
So where do you think he left yards on the field? Or where did he left?
I'll have to dive into it. I think it's part of it was his yards per carry was like 3.6. We talked about this yesterday. Some of that wasn't necessarily his fault. Like he was making up yards after contact, and it might have been an additional like goal line carry that he didn't convert that was kind of add up. So nonetheless, the opportunity amazing right now for Josh Jacobs.
He's the guy right now in that included running game. One more here is Christian Kirk, and Christian Kirk and the Cardinals had a wacky run against the Detroit Lions. Down 24-6 in the fourth quarter, and next thing you know, they get a overtime game, and then they end up with the tie. They play Baltimore on Sunday. They're getting a 4 point on the road. Only complicates Seth McAfee. But can he turn it around after a high volume of low output performance? With the numbers tell you that there's still a deep crunch going with the Fox Sports Network.
No doubt. 10 fantasy points in this game is OFD 19, right? So that's his expected fantasy point total was about double his actual output. That was 9th highest at the position. And again, that's going to be boosted a little bit by the fact that they play 10 extra minutes in overtime. Obviously, you have to consider that, but we're not ranking him as a top 10 receiver, right? We're still ranking him as, what do we have, 43, 38, 35 on the 38 flex option, a borderline wide receiver 3 and 12 leagues. But here's the thing. He and Larry Fitzgerald are now full slot receivers for Arizona. They had a fourth receiver on the field for 76% of their pass plays in this game. In fact, they ran more pass plays with 4+ receivers on the field than the entire rest of the league combined.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so, yeah, no doubt. He was on the field for 53 of those 59 pass play side, 24% target share. Again, 12 targets, he had 12 targets, but only 4 for 32 receiving. He did have 2 end zone targets. And the one final note, Stefani, is 33% of his targets were off targets, right? That was one of the highest scores in the league. That's bad luck. It's double the league average.
That's what I was going to say. You watch that game. I watched it before Sunday. Kyler Murray was not exposed in the first 3 quarters of that game.
Right.
And a lot of those targets that were the all-target throws came in that. But if you look at that volume, the all-target came in only 4 receptions. I don't think that's all. And I think that so remember, these guys, they're familiar with each other. And I think that rapport is going to continue to grow.
Really, it will be very interesting. Good test on Sunday against Lamar Jackson. And offensive player of the week for the Bucs and the rest of the Baltimore Ravens. All right, Jim, before we get to some central questions, tell us a little something about a little something.
It's something about a little something. Do you ever feel like ticketing websites and getting to the event is just difficult on purpose? I mean, the real question is how easy could it be for tickets that can actually be good? With millions of live event tickets and a price match guarantee, SeatGeek proves there's a better way. Just search sports, live music, comedy, and more at SeatGeek. And the tickets you're looking for, all in one place. Why is SeatGeek better than the rest? A quick look at the App Store shows over 50,000 5-star reviews. How does that for customer satisfaction look?
Amazing indeed.
It's a better process. SeatGeek pulls together millions of reviews from all over the web and then rates them each on a deal
Jarrett Cook's career around. He said he's a tight end friendly offense. He said Waller's going to break out, and he's showing it. I mean, look, I still think McDonald, you don't have to move McDonald down a lot, but you should move Waller up a lot into that mid-pack of the tight end one area. So I think he's certainly the stronger play right now.
What else, Keith? Hey, so anyways, they're looking to trade Sammy Watkins today. Which running back or wide receiver would you accept the deal for? I never said top one overall, but what kind of group guy are you looking at? Yeah, I'd be looking for running back that's top 12 play usually. So someone like Josh Jacobs we were talking about, someone like Devontae Freeman who's in that conferences, Dalvin Cook, players of that nature would come to mind for me for running backs. Because you're going to get beat by Sammy Watkins right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And if it was somebody that kind of disappointed a little bit in week one, you might even be able to do better, right? So Todd Gurley or perhaps Kerryon Johnson. You mentioned Devontae Freeman. I think that's an excellent name. If you want, maybe you're like, you know what? I have Sammy Watkins when he gets injured. I'm worried he's going to, I want to take advantage of him being at good value right now. Maybe go after another wide receiver, like one of the Rams wide receivers, or somebody sort of in that range. Maybe Stephon Diggs that you can make happen. And the other player really likes Sammy Watkins. But just keep in mind, he's going to be, we're going to rank him as a wide receiver one most likely the next 4 to 6 weeks off those backs. Once those back, he's going to fall down to maybe inside the top 25 and that sort of range. Not quite as valuable. So you can try to take advantage of that. But he's not a must trade by any means. He's going to have value all season long.
Yeah, I would say at least a month.
Yeah.
People want to know if Tyler Lockett's target share isn't going to spike in that cap, what would be value? Encouraging in week one, right? I mean, he had 4 catches for 70 yards.
Yeah, he's somewhere in that range.
Yeah, you can expect it. I'm expecting like.
My favorite.
Yeah, he's squeezing between the chair and the desk.
That was Adam Miller injury.
Yeah, I know. It's so appropriate. I was just going to say that was it. You should bring it down.
That was 4 breaks now. 4 breaks now. There's only like 18 yards. So yeah, it's tough. I'd like to see a little bit more, especially in passing offense last year. I guess it's a steady key player. They're going to hold up better than Tyler Lockett, but I still think that the offensive landscape is hard to do. So my answer is total weekly value. It's like a possible flex play, maybe, but beyond that, I'm not comfortable doing this yet.
I think they can support 2 fantasy starters at wide receiver because Metcalf looks like the real deal, and I think they'll demand targets. I think he had 32% target share in this game. There's actually only 6 behind blocking snaps and 1 behind the pass routes. So I think really the way to answer this question specifically, I think the answer is even if Lockett's volume goes up where we expect it to be, Metcalf still can be a flex option in fantasy. So I want him on my roster for sure. I'm a little nervous, like you said, maybe in the short term, keep him on my bench or if I'm desperate at flex, but I think yes. I think the answer is yes, he can be a fantasy
I was
starter.
really surprised at how safe.
Yeah, safe.
I mean, I thought it was quick and let's think it forward then. I'm not sure. Definitely.
So that makes me feel like Metcalf. All right, Keith, we got to bring it on. Yeah, one more question here. Are you more concerned about the slow start for Michelle or Terry Allen?
So I think that'll change.
Yeah, that's my answer too. I actually wrote the word either yet. I mean, the only thing that really bothered me was Rex Burkhead played a lot, but then again, Damian Harris was inactive, so he kind of stole as much as we thought Harris would get. I mean, we had the same concerns with Michelle we did before the season. He's not going to get any targets, but again, they just decided to throw the football in this game, and they may all season long, but that when they all I think up 30 weeks now, he can get 30 carries, right?
Hey, what's up? This is Jay.
First offensive touch of the season.
Yes, Brandon Bolden. On his end around. You got to be kidding me. Yeah.
Football in a nutshell. We spend all offseason talking about we spend a lot of time talking about the Patriots, and Brandon Bolden gets the first carry. That's how you know this game. If it's art and science sometimes, fantasy football expert Daniel somehow should bring us to a close.
Yeah, we got 2 more questions. We're going to do one from Keith first, and I'm going to tell the final one.
Okay. Yeah, one from the chat here that just came in recently from Trent Slade. If you're looking to trade away Austin Eckler, who are you looking for in return?
How do you trade Austin Eckler right now? Would that be a question too?
I would think, but if you could like return value, like again, somebody say running back just mentioned Devontae Freeman, maybe Kerryon Johnson, maybe Sonny Michel, players that I think are going to be your starter, barring injury for the entire season. So Eckler might have a shelf life. He might not, but you know, like Melvin Lewis will report at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if you can somehow pull off, even if you throw in a little piece, maybe one of these young receivers or something, and get yourself a Chris Carson or Joe Mixon who's going to miss a week, maybe he's the guy to go after right now. Derrick Henry, someone in that range, I have no problem with that. All right, Danny, what do you got for us? It sounds like a funny guy.
No, it's not a funny question. I just want to ask you. I just want to ask you guys a question. In one of my leagues back home, the DPH league, John Ross was added for $11 off waivers. $11 for John Ross is not a bad deal, correct?
Right. Not bad. Yeah, I saw him over in the 30s last night.
Yeah, so congratulations to him for doing that for $11. He dropped Tyler Lockett for John Ross. Do you agree or disagree with that decision?
You guys have like a vendetta against Tyler Lockett?
I think he's just allergic to good fantasy decisions, but I just wanted to ask to make sure that I was not crazy. That he's an idiot for dropping Tyler Lockett.
So
Yeah.
He watched the Bengals Seahawks game, and that's the only game in the NFL history he's ever watched. He just watched that one game. Sorry, Tim. I'm sure you're a nice guy, because you're a friend today, you're a friend of the rest. But that's stuff. But
Yep. That's all that we wanted. That's all we needed.
all right, so let's make better decisions going forward. You might actually have a chance of winning. We go back tomorrow. Wide receiver quarterback discussion, plus a preview of Bucks, Panthers, and you never know. By then, we could have plenty more NFL stories to get into from Mikey, Stefania, Daniel, Kyle, Keith, and of course Jackson, all the way in the back, holding it down. We'll go back tomorrow. Peace out.
Welcome to Get Up. Antonio Brown has been accused of sexual assault. The implications, of course, go well beyond football. We have the very latest in just a moment. In other news, Odell Beckham says he won't change. But did you know that means he might not be able to play? We will explain. They play the Jets Monday night. And Dak Prescott, sitting on a whole bunch of money, will tell you why the best thing he can do is not take it. All that and more. It's time to Get Up. Starting right now, live from New York, and glad you've chosen to get up with us today. It's delightful to have Maria Taylor back with us for the first time in months. We obviously have a lot to get to, and there will be plenty of football conversation to be had here this morning. But we begin with a developing story surrounding accusations against Antonio Brown. The new Patriots receiver is accused of sexually assaulting his former trainer, according to a lawsuit filed by the woman in Florida yesterday. Brittany Taylor says she met Brown while they were in college in Central Michigan. She's accused him of 3 incidents of assault in 2017 and 18, including rape. According to the lawsuit, the incidents have left Taylor suffering from, quote, near daily panic attacks and suicidal ideations. Through his attorney, Brown, who is scheduled to practice with the Patriots for the first time today, denies the allegations. Let me read you the specific statement that was released by Antonio Brown's attorney, Darren Heitner. It says Antonio Brown learned today that he has been named in a lawsuit filed in federal court in the Southern District of Florida. Mr. Brown denies each and every allegation in the lawsuit. He will pursue all legal remedies to not only clear his name, but to also protect other professional athletes against false accusations. The statement did acknowledge at least one instance when the two engaged in consensual sex. There is obviously a lot to get to here. Let's bring in our legal analyst, Brian Smith. With that perspective, it is important, of course, for us, Ryan, to make the distinction that Brown is facing a civil lawsuit, and as of right now, no criminal charges have been issued. So explain to us, if you can, what this means legally for Antonio Brown.
Yeah, that right there really is a huge distinction. If it was a criminal case, he could be looking at possible jail time based on some of the accusations here. But this is a claim where she says, I was sexually assaulted by Antonio Brown on multiple occasions. I have suffered pain and suffering, and therefore I'm entitled to money damages. So at this point, he's going to file an answer. He's going to try to contest this. You heard them talk about possibly defending with their possible countersuit here. But what it means for him is now he's got to go through this process in the civil court system. The bar is much lower in a civil case for proving your case. So essentially, it's a preponderance of the evidence. Is it more likely than not that her claims against him, based on the evidence, are true? And that sets up a tough position. You could have discovery and so many other things that come out that shed light on what happens here that may not be beneficial for him.
So this is a civil circumstance now. Is it possible for it thus to become a criminal case going forward?
It is. And you look at it like this. We don't know for sure if she has talked to authorities, and we don't know for sure if she did what they may have said about that. But there is always the chance that they could look at these claims and say, you know what? Why don't we take a look at this? Why don't we conduct an investigation and see if there is something here that is criminal? I'm not saying it's going to happen, and we wouldn't wants to cooperate with the NFL and others. I presume that that means authorities. And in a sense, if there is a criminal case here, it does strengthen her civil case based on how that plays out. So I think the delicate situation here is it looks like he is ready to defend himself, claiming this was consensual sex. But as it goes along, do authorities look at this and say, should we be looking further into it?
Ryan Smith, we will keep you close for any further that you can help us. Thank you very much for that. Now, here's the statement the Patriots have released. Quote, "We are aware of the civil lawsuit that was filed earlier today against Antonio Brown," the statement coming last night, "as well as the response by Antonio's representatives. We take these allegations very seriously. Under no circumstances does this organization condone sexual violence or assault. The league has informed us they will be investigating. We will have no further comment while that investigation takes place." And that brings us to Foxborough, where our reporter Mike Reese is standing by live at Patriots camp this morning. Mike, let me just give you the floor. What can you tell us this morning in Foxborough?
Obviously a very serious tone here at Patriots headquarters. My understanding is that Antonio Brown is here today with his Patriots teammates going through the standard meetings that the players have. They usually start at 8 in the morning. Today it got a little bit of an earlier start at 7 this morning. The first practice of the day scheduled for 12:40, and as of now, Antonio Brown, as I understand it, is expected to be on the field with his Patriots teammates. But the whole tone, Greeny, has changed. This was supposed to be an exciting day for Antonio Brown, the Patriots welcoming him onto the field, but obviously now the storyline has shifted in terms of what we're talking about, and really to highlight how the Patriots have been really decisive and strong in these situations in the past. In 1996, they drafted Christian Peter, a defensive tackle from Nebraska, in the 5th round. He had a history of domestic violence against women, and they didn't know it, ownership at the time, and 2 days later, they cut Christian Peter. And in a radio interview in 2016, team president Jonathan Kraft said, "It's something we felt strongly about since we've owned the franchise. There is literally no gray area." But what we do know, Greeny, with this team is they always take the time to gather all the facts before they make a decision. No snap judgments. As of now, the expectation is that Antonio Brown will be on the practice field this afternoon.
Okay, that's important information there, Mike. Thank you very much, and we'll come back to you as the events continue to unfold. That's Mike Reese live in Foxborough. Let me bring this to the table here for a little conversation, and I will mention that, of course, I hope that it would go without saying that we're dealing with a situation with potentially tragic implications. And the football side of this, who does and does not play in the football game, is obviously comparatively insignificant in that context. But we are a sports show, the ESPN is a sports network, and there are football ramifications to this, so we will deal with those. Ryan Clark, let me start with you. Actually, let me start with Dave Graziano, because I think that there's precedent here as far as how the league has typically reacted in circumstances such as these. What can you tell us about that?
We know from the Patriots statement that the league is investigating this matter. There's no criminal investigation going on, which means the league, which usually says we'll wait for the legal matter to resolve itself before we reach our conclusions. They don't have to do that. They can go ahead and investigate. If accusers to cooperate, that obviously helps the investigation. In the short term, they could put him on the commissioner's exempt list. That's a possibility, but it's a little more complicated than just doing that. Historically, you've seen cases where the commissioner's exempt list has been applied, and it's involved cases where there's been an arrest, where there's been criminal charges pending. That's not the case in this particular instance. So there are a lot of moving pieces here in terms of just the pure football, will he be able to play in the short-term side. But that is a possibility that if the league determines there was misconduct, they could put him on commissioner's exempt, they could suspend him,
piece during the Browns' loss to the Titans on Sunday. An NFL spokesman said yesterday that while the league has no rules prohibiting jewelry, it does have a policy prohibiting hard objects. Now, Beckham says he feels like he's being singled out. He said, if anybody else would have worn the watch, if it was a $20 watch, it wouldn't have been a problem. That's just my life. If it ain't this, it's something else. If it wasn't the watch, it would have been the way I tie my shoes. So he feels as though he's being singled out in a situation like this. You may think, well, just how big a deal is this really? If he feel like they're very, very close to a deal, but then no one moves that final couple of inches. They need to get it there. My understanding is the Cowboys are in a very, very strong ballpark here with regard to an offer, that he would be one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. When you look at Dak Prescott, entered the league same year as Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. Both just got extensions in the $32, $33 million a year range. He's got to be looking for that at least. If you're the Cowboys, you're at the point where you're saying, okay, yeah, but there's still income taxes in those states. Texas doesn't have one. Maybe, you take a little less, that helps us out signing other guys. So I think they're at that point in the negotiation. But him going into the season on a $2 million salary, playing against guys that are making 15, 20 times as much as he is, says a lot about his resolve, and it shifts the balance of power in the negotiations a little bit his way.
Yeah, he's the winningest QB as he's entering the league in 2016. Does it make sense for that to wait? Like, is a waiting game a good decision for him? Like,
well, sure. I mean, the idea of waiting and then having a big year, betting on yourself, is something we've seen work before. The most prominent quarterback case was Joe Flacco with Baltimore the year they won the Super Bowl. But there's risk involved. Yeah. And any NFL player knows that, I mean, the injury rate's 100%. At some point, you're probably going to get hurt, and a catastrophic injury could take away all the potential earnings he has in the future. So he's got to make that call.
Yeah. They can just bet on the first game.
Right. That helps.
Perfect match rate. Yeah. Look at that, right, Greeny?
Absolutely. Look, it couldn't have possibly started better, and we'll see as they take on Washington this week. If you were advising Dak Prescott right now, would you tell him to take the money they're offering him?
No, I'd hold out. I mean, you made it to this point. What concerns me about what's happening now is Jerry Jones is taking this to the media again. And I'm not someone who tends to believe in these distractions, but if you are someone who does, he essentially set this up for reporters to go ask Dak if he's comfortable with the deal. And you want your quarterback focusing on the game at hand, not necessarily focusing on his contract right now.
Dak seems to be a guy that plays better when the pressure is on. When he took over for Tony Romo, that's a hard place to be when you're replacing a legend who played extremely well. Last year when he got Amari Cooper, it was a proven time for Dak, and he did that. And so now he comes out without the contract, so many questions, and flat out balls out. And so if Jerry Jones doesn't make Dak Prescott far and beyond the highest paid quarterback in the NFL with this deal right now, I don't believe he can.
Look, there's an extraordinary amount of ancillary value that comes with being the star quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. It lasts you the rest of your life, but I do not like the notion that he should take less money because of that. You should get paid based upon what your value is relative to your peers in the NFL, and his value right now is extraordinarily high.
Absolutely. Ancillary value has nothing to do with his contract with the team. What he does on the field has to do with his contract on the team. What he did on the field was be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL out of week one, has led this team to, what Maria said earlier, winningest record in the NFC since he entered the league, so they should pay him that stuff.
No, absolutely. People try to use things like taxes and the money that you can make away from the field. That's not what it's about. When Dak Prescott was drafted into this league, he didn't say, you know what, I want to be the best marketing tool that's ever played this game. He wants to be the quarterback and the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. He should be paid for what he does.
And there is no question in my mind that one day, I don't know when it'll be, it's probably imminent, however you want to define that, we will open the show with the words, Dak Prescott is now the highest paid player in the National Football League. Meanwhile, let me get up and go here. The Dodgers clinched their 7th straight NL West title with a 7-3 win at the Orioles last night. They needed just 146 games to clinch the pennant. That ties the Cubs of 2016 for the 4th fastest this century. Dodgers are also the first team in the majors to clinch a playoff spot this season. There will be more to come quickly. Meanwhile, awful news for the Brewers. They'll have to go the rest of the season without MVP candidate Christian Yelich after he fractured his kneecap in last night's win. It occurred when he fell to pitch off the knee in the first inning. They're currently just one game behind the Cubs for the second wildcard spot. That is a devastating loss for the team. The reigning National League MVP having another great year. He'll finish with the second highest OPS in a 30
at 10 on FX.
Receiver Antonio Brown is accused of sexually assaulting his former trainer, according to a lawsuit filed by the woman in Florida yesterday. Brittany Taylor says she met Brown while they were in college in Central Michigan. She's accused him of 3 incidents of assault in 2017 and 18, including rape. Through his attorney, Brown, who was scheduled to practice with the Patriots for the first time today, denies the allegations. I want to bring in now Josina Anderson, who has been covering this for us. And Josina, I know you have spoken to Antonio Brown's attorney. What did you hear from him?
Well, yes, Greeny, I spoke to Antonio Brown's attorney, Darren Heitner, last night, and the first thing that he pointed out was just emphasizing that in 2 separate instances in the statement that he put out on behalf of Brown, that Brown is not just denying some of the allegations, but that, quote, he's denying each and every instance of the allegations that the accuser, Brittany Taylor, is putting forth against him, and that he potentially would like to pursue every legal remedy on his behalf, including potentially countersuing for civil extortion, and that Antonio Brown is doing this emphatically, 1, to clear his name, and 2, to protect other athletes against both false accusations. Now, Greeny, I also spoke to Heitner this morning and asked, simply because this right now is appearing to be a he said, she said situation, if the accuser is purporting to have any physical evidence to, definitely prove her allegations. And Heitner said that he did not want to comment outside of Taylor's comments inside of the lawsuit. And lastly, I said to him, well, what is next for Antonio Brown? And Heitner said, what's next is that Brown should be going to practice with.
Yes, and indeed, Mike Race reporting from Foxborough for us earlier this morning that his understanding is Brown is in the building right now with the Patriots, and the expectation is he will practice this afternoon. Josina Anderson, thank you for the very latest there. We'll come back to you as this develops, and we'll bring it out here to the table, and we're going to get to some football of an entirely different variety here, because we move on into this transition, and we're going to talk about 3 different NFC teams who struggled in Week 1 and try and get a gauge for just how significant that concern should be. The first of those is the Bears. They played the first night of the season last Thursday night, losing to the Packers, and they were unable to generate any offense. So I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock and just gauge from you guys the level of concern. Because I keep hearing everyone say, well, September is the new August, so maybe it doesn't mean anything. Or does it? How concerned are we about the Bears? 60 seconds, go.
Well, the reason you're concerned about the Bears is because they have Super Bowl aspirations, and that largely hinges on Mitchell Trubisky's play, and he wasn't good in the first game, and Matt Nagy has found ways to work around Mitchell Trubisky, but when you move up to draft a guy number 2, he has to show up and play well. They're going to be fine as far as the season goes because they're great defensively, but if they want to get where they want to go, he has to play.
He played all the preseason.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that he's going to be fine as where the season goes. Like, you could argue that Green Bay's defense is much improved, but there was a divisional game that they lost. And there are only 16 games. You can say this is the new preseason because he did not play in the preseason, but these games count. And there's only 16 of them, and you can't just give them away because you think that you're going to get better later on. That division may be the toughest in the league, especially the way that the Vikings came out. They need to play much better, and they should be concerned because Mitchell Trubisky hasn't been great since he's been there.
The home divisional game, did they make a mistake not giving him any time in the preseason?
No, I don't believe they did because that's the way this thing has moved, but now you have to make sure you find ways to make them comfortable early.
All right, the Bears were our first team that lost last week, and we gauge the level of concern. Let me get to Carolina next. They lost 30-27 to the Rams. They're a team I have in the playoffs and some others do. Give me a minute here on the clock. Level of concern for Carolina. Go.
I think you're not that concerned about Carolina. I think you can point out the fact that Cam Newton did not throw deep very often and didn't run the ball as effectively as he normally does. That's a reason for concern, but this team is deep. I think they have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball, which is going to carry them. And they played a very, very good opponent, a team that most of us think is going to be in the conference championship or around that area towards the end of the season. So I like what they did. It wasn't great. They should have won at home, but I'm not at a panic mode just for them just yet because Cam Newton is going to be able to get a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely not. This isn't the Cam that we're used to seeing, but I think it's more so along the lines of where Ron Rivera wants him to go. He doesn't want to take him up pounding early, but you watch Christian McCaffrey. You also saw Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore. This team is loaded on offense. North Turner is finding ways to get them all involved. Once Cam Newton gets a little healthy and push the ball down the field, this is a team that's going to compete in NFC South.
I think they're going to make the playoffs, and someone, if I say Christian McCaffrey is as good as any running back in the National Football League, someone tell me I'm wrong. Am I wrong? I got yelled at yesterday.
You ain't lying.
I got yelled at yesterday.
You ain't lying, Grady.
Thank you, because I got yelled at by Marcus Spears yesterday. One more team in the NFC.
20-yard completions, and he's one of those guys that he's always a home run strike away from making a huge play for his team. Who's next?
Yeah, Trevor is definitely in here, and I know he's seen better opposition, Georgia Tech and Texas A&M. He hasn't been great, but I know he is great. So he's in my top three.
Okay. He's already thrown 3 interceptions this year, but that's all right. He only threw 4 seasons ago. That's okay. Jalen Hurts, number 1?
Jalen Hurts has been spectacular. And, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of my heart wanting him to win because of what he's been through and his resiliency. But right now, I think he has just shown that everyone maybe he deserves it. And I think he's going to be the oh, my goodness.
What's wrong, Ryan?
You get to the meeting, they're like, Paul Feinbaum is here. You see Paul Feinbaum, you're all excited to work with him. Because, like you said, he's a man that doesn't make rash decisions. And he watches the film and he sticks to football. But you know what? I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve right now. Because the fact that you don't have Joe Burrow in this conversation clearly says that you're not making rash decisions. I get it. Trevor Lawrence, he has the hair and the eyes, and he's tall, and maybe one day he'll be a hat hair. But right now, Joe Burrow is outplaying Trevor Lawrence, and it's not even close. Now you say he's played better competition. He played Georgia Tech. Yeah, Ryan, I voted in Heisman many years, so I try not to determine. Throw that out there. After 3 weeks. And I saw your man Joe Burrow last year, different offense against Alabama at home. What did he do? But you're talking about last year. I know, but you're factoring in only 3 games or 2 games right now. That's all I'm trying to project, compute. Otherwise, why would we have this every week? We just said, who had the best week? Who's the best game? You know how TV works. You know why we have it? Because it can change. But right now, Joe Burrow is number 2 behind Jalen Hurts. All of your histrionic, Joe Burrow is number 4 in my list.
Here's the deal. Clemson's not going to lose another game because they play in the
ACC.
Now listen, LSU's competition? Are they going to win every single game and be in the Heisman conversation at the end of the season?
Yes.
All right. Ryan Clark, ladies and gentlemen. He's got plenty more to say to you, and it's going to be about the Dallas Cowboys as well. Remember, they had an offensive explosion. Ryan, apparently, you think someone is getting way too much credit, so you're going to have the floor for that. And then you're going to have the floor again. We talked about Odell's watch and Baker's interceptions, but Ryan says that there's an even bigger concern in Cleveland.
15-yard penalty. How many picks did you have in your career? Were you tackled by the receiver every time?
Yes. Okay. Or the quarterback sometimes.
Fair enough. I got one more for you. This one on the Cowboys. Here we go. Dak is on point. You can pick up Kellen Moore as much as you want, but these footballs are pinpoint accurate. RC, everyone has been singing the praises of the young offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. You don't think it was all him?
But isn't that how it works? It's an off-season story that we built up. Now Kellen Moore will be calling the plays. Tony Romo even mentioned it himself. If it wasn't about Kellen Moore, when Michael Gallup is running by DeAndre Baker and that ball is dropped right on top of the one, that's Dak Prescott. When Amari Cooper is going into the end zone and there's only 5 yards to get that ball in, that's Dak Prescott. Hitting a guy on the dig and allowing him to run after the catch, that's Dak Prescott. We didn't see anything from Kellen Moore that was revolutionary. It wasn't Sean McVay taking over the Rams and having Jared Goff, who we thought should be surfing and not playing football, become a prolific passer. This is totally different. Those plays, those just regular football plays. He made good throws. Let's give Dak Prescott some credit.
Well, why is he shaking his head? Over your shoulder, I can see Dominic Foxworth shaking his head. Go ahead, Dominic.
I agree with everything that just happened in this whole segment, particularly when you tried to say Lord.
Okay.
But Dak Prescott was awesome, and he's great. But I think what Kellen Moore deserves credit for is he gave him the opportunity to throw those two passes. They weren't taking that many shots in past games, so I think Dak deserves credit for giving probably too much credit to Kellen Moore. But it's not fair to say that he didn't do anything. He called the plays that allowed him to go downfield. Lenahan last year, digging, dunking, running stuff that nobody's open. And there are people running open. Look at that man. Barr was running wide open. He's by himself. Okay, so nobody deserves credit for that. Credit to the people that really deserve the credit. DeAndre Baker, Juan Mathay.
The point you make is the Cowboys offense looks confused and flat out terrible.
Absolutely. This is go back to last year with a version to a version. No one was beating the Cowboys. Think back to the time that the Eagles game where they didn't get no time to those were about but you can see it struggling in the 30 minutes. You gotta call it a split. Hey, I'm certainly not here taking credit, but I don't take credit as zero sum. We can give it to Dak, we can also give it to Kellen Moore. You can say that in defensive back, but those are NFL players and people are running butt naked down the middle of the field by themselves. That Kellen Moore deserves some credit for that.
Is that the new open? Running down the field. Someone save me, you know, but
I'm here for a dream to save you. If they plan to resign as the athletic director on Monday, and many speculate that the head coach played out in his football game, but that's said he support from the school administration, explained that to the staff, and all just a part of the job.
He had a job, and one of the things you got to distractions and lights, all this stuff, and it's our job to stop it.
I'll line on back here to break down some of the comments that were made. Stanford, and does have a point about the center of the
Let's get to some baseball to run the bases because tonight, after being shut out 15-0, the A's turned the tables and crushed the Astros 20 Elsewhere, the Yankees also let down by their pitching last night. Tigers, a 12-11 win on Jordy Mercer's walk-off single bottom of 9. It was the Yankees' first loss when hitting 6 or more home runs in a game since 2010. Also their first loss when leading by at least 6 runs since 2016, spanning 105 games. And because both teams lost, they remain tied for the best record in the American League at 95-51 for the season. The Yankees have a slightly easier schedule to finish the year, but the Astros lead the season series 4-3. Home field advantage could be of the utmost importance considering the home team has won every game when these two faced off in the 2017 ALCS. And tonight on ESPN we have a wild card race doubleheader, 7 Eastern. Bryce Harper with the Phillies trying to keep their playoff hopes alive against the Braves, followed at 10 Eastern by the Cubs trying to maintain their 1-game lead for the second wild card visiting the Padres. Both games are on ESPN and the ESPN app. Today, of course, is the 11th of September, and I've always felt the best we can do here at ESPN on shows that I host is try to entertain people and take their minds off of the tragic events that are now 18 years in our past. But we would like to let you know that all of us at Get Up, our thoughts are with all of you, the fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, brothers, sisters, and husbands and wives, who will live forever with holes in your lives that will never be filled. I'd also let you know that our show is broadcast from a new studio down here at Pier 17. We are just a few blocks away from the Freedom Tower in Lower Manhattan. Below the Freedom Tower, ceremony is underway as we speak for nearly 3,000 victims of that awful day. All of the victims' names are being read aloud. Silence for the planes crashed into the towers and were dying on Pennsylvania. But continue with the numbers. Once again, for all of you, lives will never be the same. Our thoughts are with you today.
Advertising the most underpercent fiber technology, like a fraction of my country. Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.